Die ride, how the tip turn, street turns. Hit me in this dirt like an earthworm. Woody spit hits of both with brothers of love. Word for word, champ with a nerve, me in the germ.
I can't fit your task in my calendar. She stay on my line like innocent in the tower. Yeah, niggas hating on me cause my power. Sleep, no paralysis. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago, not no Chirac, but I respect that because you know we from the violence. Yeah, just a canoe lease on an apartment. It's kinda humble, but I treat that bitch like it's my palace. Came with a vision and it's manifesting. Yeah, gang in this bitch like I'm getting blessed in. Yeah, raising a fist like a first place win. We cutting up, might need a first aid kit. Been working since I made my first playlist. Detergent, keep it clean and made working. A turtle like came out the shell like shit. Got my name in your mouth, why don't you tell my dick? And I am still that kid, that's what real shit lives. Got the password to it, like I steal Netflix. Michael Keaton in the stool, call me Beetlejuice. You can't do this shit alone, you gon' need a ooh. I can't fit your task in my schedule. She still trying to call me a message, I feel it. Yeah, she be with her girls, not no fellas, and they can get whoever they want cause they fit. Yeah, seen her make her last man jealous. She so rebellious, I stole her from him like Elvis. Yeah, I've been on the grind writing mud and I want a million. I want a dog, me so selfish.
Give him the eggplant like Courage the Cowardly. Her name sound like Amy Winehouse singing Valerie. I don't know if my grandparents ever be proud of me. Dropping enough bombs like a guest on Howard Stern. Since NSYNC broke up, I figured it's our turn. Can I hit it from the back like I fucked up a power turn? You having sex, better bring a hat like Kung Lao. You fun house, steady throwing shade like sundials. Can we go thrifting? That shit cracking in the six. Make sure my print flicking when they snapping on my pics. Why I shoot my shot, I could be batting for the fence. Like Sammy Sosa, I know that I blacked in my past. Got this shit covered like a cast on my ass. I feel like T.I. when he got crack on the dash. Comfortable, chilling like a scary movie villain. About to make $2,000 when my streams hit 1 million.
I can't fit your task in my schedule. She still trying to call me a message, I feel it. Yeah, she be with her girls, not no fellas, and they can get whoever they want cause they fit. Yeah, seen her make her last man jealous. She so rebellious, I stole her from him like Elvis. Yeah, I've been on the grind writing mud and I want a million. I want a dog, me so selfish.
See, my word leaves burns to the 3rd degree. So watch what you say and how you speak it to me. I was a groovy motherfunker by the age of 3, waiting for the mothership to shine its beam on me. But in the meantime, I'll just chill with the humans, where they love to live in chaos and buy into confusion. Everywhere I go, I seem to feel like a shooby. Probably jump to my death the way I jump to conclusions. Excuse me? Are you talking to me? Cause my name ain't, and my time ain't free. Yeah, I know you wanna fuck, but you ain't qualified. One look into my eyes may leave you terrified. Take a peek inside your soul and see what's on your mind. It's very clear cut, there ain't no blurred lines. You a punk bitch, you a small fry. Your worst nightmare, I'm happening in real time, nigga.
I can't fit your task in my schedule. She still trying to call me a message, I feel it. Yeah, she be with her girls, not no fellas, and they can get whoever they want cause they fit. Yeah, seen her make her last man jealous. She so rebellious, I stole her from him like Elvis. Yeah, I've been on the grind writing mud and I want a million. I want a dog, me so selfish.
If you want it in the morning, just call my name. If you want it in the evening, just do the same. The way a woman can. Let me give it to you, baby. Make you feel like a real. Give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Oh, if you want me to super freak you, slow my roll and teach ya. Peek, 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 peek. What you gonna do? Give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me.
One, two.
Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Oh, give it to me high, give it to me high. Ooh, baby, what you gonna do? Give it to me high, give it to me high. Oh, baby, what you gonna do with it? Hey. If you want the funk, honey, Mom gon' give you what you want, honey. Just don't front, honey. I'll give it to you, but you gon' have to give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give me. Give it to me, give it to me, give
Well, alright, I'm on your radio dial, 107.5 Detroit. I'm on the city, it's the place to get down. Look up at the top of the charts. What do you see? Average. So if you're ready to get down, what the deal? I just happen to be one of the representatives of these local stars. Hey, look at all these ladies clocking around. Hey, they're ready to get down with the club business. Hey, they came with the fantastic. Now they're hitting you with the sensation. I just happen to like this house.
Time for some action. Peace to all my people, paper stacking. Asking for the S, like asking for the satisfaction of climaxing. Nasty flow on some Miss Jackson. Hardcore like pistol grip packing. In fact, when we rapping, it's no slacking. Remember back when we used to backspin. Hustle, do it, Earl Flynn. SB the heavyweight like your mom Sherlyn. Keep it realer than your girl Sherlyn. Do it from Detroit to Berlin. Yeah, moving the shit. Yeah, forth and back, forth and back, forth and back, forth back, forth back, forth and back, forth yeah.
Just rock to the rhythm. Forth and back, forth and back, forth and back, back, forth and back. Come on, forth and back, forth and back, back. Forth and back, 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 forth and back. Since I was young, dumb and hung, hard to believe and hard to breathe, like I'm missing a lung. It's all foggy, nope, let me through the fog. Coop, missing Dad, Snoop, and Nate Dogg. Gotta get it where I fit in, sitting, put my bid in, standing as a man in the land of the forbidden. It's hard to realize till I saw it televised, and that made a young brother have to open his eyes. I had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of money I miss. But without that whole lot of money I miss, the Kawhi couldn't rock like this with a knot like this. I learned game, baby, baby.
Shake that thing, keep shaking, keep bouncing, keep rolling, keep doing it, keep shaking, keep bouncing, keep rolling, keep doing it, just shake it,
Give it up to these niggas we rockin', yeah. So we be running this game like Bruce Jenner. Watch us clean up this game like Noxema. Pulling this track like Cutie feeling Foxima. Drinking blood out of niggas like Dracula. What's up? It says we attacking, yeah. First reason y'all niggas getting tacky, yeah. Second reason y'all niggas getting nasty, yeah. Trying to step to the S, we top caliber. Third reason y'all niggas lack character. Keep shaking, baby, I know I ain't mad at ya. Get with it, baby, still ain't mad at ya. Come on. 4, 5, 4, back, 4, back, 4, and back, 4, back, 4, and back, 4, back, 4, and back, 4, back,
Shake that back, shake that back, shake that back, shake that back, shake that back.
Forth and back, we going forth, back. Time to react to my love was like a nuclear bomb. And alright, come on, you had to make an issue and I told you relax. I mean your life it ain't passionate, the way that you act, it ain't on track. Women are like that, all she really wants is a part-time love affair. Tell me what do we share? You gotta give me 2 things that you enjoy. Being independent and self-employed. And I talk about sex and you just get ignored. Told you what was coming but you insist. This is love can never happen, it's too much bliss. I know you really wanna come give me a kiss.
Shake that, shake that thing. Come on, shake that thing. You got it. Shake that.
I say what I want to say when I feel and I look in the mirror and know I'm there. With my hands in the air, I'm proud to say it. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real.
I promise that I know you very well. Your eyes never lie, even if they tell. Sweet lullabies that come with the smell of a dozen roses flipping down a green hill. You living in a world that come with plan B, cause plan A never relay a guarantee, and plan C never could say just what it was. And your plans only can pan around love. You love him, you love them, you love her. You love so much, you love when love hurts. You love red bottom and gold that say queen. You love handbag on the waist of your jean. You love French tip and trip that pay for. You love bank slip that tell you he paid more. You love a good hand whenever the card dealt, but what love got to do with it when you don't love yourself?
I do what I want to. I say what I want to say when I feel and I look in the mirror and know I'm there. With my hands in the air, I'm proud to say it. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really real. I'm real, I'm real, I'm really, really.
In a world that come with plan B, cause plan A only can make another mistake, and you can't see success coming from plan C. When it all breaks, you'll still say you love me and love them and love when you love her. You love so much, you love when love hurts. You love fast cars and their president's old. You love fast women, you love keeping control of everything that you love. You love beef.
Okay, everyone, if you'd like to take your seats, we're starting in a minute.
I even love it to death, but what love got to do with it?
All right, Busman.
I do what I want to. I say what I want to say when I feel and I look in the mirror. my hands in the air. I'm proud to say it. I'm real. I'm real. I'm really, really real. I'm real. I'm real. I'm really, really real. I'm real. I'm real. I'm really, really real. I'm real. I'm real. 'Cause before you know it, everything's gone.
The reason why I know you very well, cause we have the same eyes, can't you tell? The days I tried to cover up and conceal my pride, it only made it harder for me to deal with living in a world that come with plan B, a scapegoat, cause plan A don't come free, and plan C just an excuse like because, or the word but what if I got love? I love them, I love when I love her, I love so much, I love when love hurts.
Okay, if you'd like to take your seats, everyone, we're about to start.
I love second verse, cause you're the homie that pack burning like a stovetop, that love cooking from scratch. I love what the both of you have to offer. In fact, I love it so much I don't love anything else. But what love got to do with it when I don't love myself to the point I should hate everything I do love? Should I hate living my life inside the club? Should I hate her for watching me for that reason? Should I hate him for telling me that I'm seasoned? Should I hate them for telling me ball out? Should I hate street credibility? I'm talking about hating on money, power, respect, in my will, or hating the fact none of that shit make me real.
Gang, I ain't tripping up from Bangladesh no more. Just call. Sorry to hear what happened to your homeboy. But don't learn the hard way like I did. Any nigga can kill a man. That don't make you a real nigga. Real is responsibility. Real is taking care of your motherfucking family. Real is God, nigga.
I do I wonder. I say what I want to say. When I feel like I'm dying. Look in the mirror and know I'm there. My hands in the air. I'm proud to say it. I'm real. I'm real. I'm really, really real. I'm real. I'm real. I'm really, really.
So when Kendrick is quiet, we'll start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth Rave Late. Each one, I'm getting tighter and tighter with each one, but by the end of the evening, I feel uplifted because they've all been so brilliant. So yeah, welcome. So this is me. I'm Derek Yates. I'm the head of Creative Lab and Careers, and this is a Creative Lab and Careers event. And it's part of a new strategy that we've got that is about supporting you guys into work, because it's expensive to come to university, right? These days it's expensive and you want some kind of return on your investment. And the man standing over there, Simon Robertshaw, came here kind of a year and a bit ago. 2 years? 2 years. 2 years, man. A lot's changed in 2 years, but we've now got a really kind of cohesive strategy around supporting your careers. And part of that is about making sure that you have all of the materials that you need to support you into your careers. So there is an Aula space that's called the Careers Lab Aula space, right? If you cannot access that Aula space, speak to your tutor, right? Because there's so much stuff. This is just a selection. I just went on there today and kind of screenshotted some things that are on there. So we have a news letter that goes out once a week that's got lots and lots of competitions. It's got lots and lots of kind of things that are happening that we're putting on to support your careers. There's articles, there's workshops, 101 workshops. There's these kind of simple PDFs that you can download that's got how to do a CV, how to do a portfolio. There's lots of films of practitioners offering advice about careers. So if you haven't been on the Creative Lab Aula space already, get on there, because there's so much good stuff, right? Get on there, because there's stuff that you need to help make sure that you're prepared to leave here and walk into a job. But you're already going to do that, right? Because you came here tonight. So you guys are going to be the successful ones. I think I said that quite a lot last week. The other thing that is on the Creative Lab Aula space is everything you need to access 3 courses These are Kickstart courses. They're 12 videos, some questions, and some kind of lots and lots of advice from people like Dines. So Dines is here tonight. He's coming in kind of 10, 15 minutes, right? After you've seen Dines' talk, you realise just what these courses are all about, right? It's the best people in the industry telling you how to create a brand, create a digital campaign, create a social media conversation. And it's free. It's free because you made a good choice and you came to Ravensbourne, right? So there's lots of stuff, right? We're working with, so tonight we've got free proper popcorn, right? We have a relationship with proper corn, actually, not proper popcorn. And as part of their launch of popcorn, chicken popcorn, that is a thing, right? Popcorn, chicken popcorn. My son really likes KFC chicken popcorn, right? And now he's got real popcorn. Anyway, so that is going to provide you guys with 2.5 K to provide 5 laptop bursaries to support students in FE. This is particularly for, is there any foundation students here? Can you give me a cheer if you're a foundation student? I tell you what, there's not many of you, but you're loud. It's good, right? So listen, there's going to be a survey. We're going to work out who really can't afford a laptop, and Popcorn Chicken are going to pay for your laptop, right? How good is that? Only 5 people, but it's still good, right? So these are the sorts of things that we're doing in Careers Lab. We're reaching out. We've got a really amazing networking industry, and the whole point of it is so you guys have what you need to be successful and get a job or start your own business, like Dines did, who's coming later on today. So just a little couple of minutes, right? And then I'll be quiet. There's a couple of things that I just want to point out, right? You guys said yes. You came here, you said, right, okay, I'm not going to go home tonight. I'm going to go to that Rave Lake thing because that Rave Lake thing looks interesting, right? Made a really good decision. So give yourself a huge round of applause for saying yes. Right? It's important to say yes. I'll tell you why it's important to say yes, right? Harriet, where's Harriet? Can you give us a shout? So Harriet's down here, right? This is Harriet, right? And this is Dom, and there's 4 students here, right, from Ravensbourne. Those 4 students, right, went to the south side of Chicago. They met a load of other students from the south side of Chicago. Those students from the south side of Chicago came here. Together, they worked on a brief for KitKat, right? They've created a new concept for KitKat. And sorry, Harriet, but this is brilliant, right? And this is everything that we want from our students, right? Harriet said the power of saying yes, right? She was frightened out of her life about this. It's a really, really challenging thing that she chose to do. But she said yes, right? She said yes, and look what happened. So you did the right thing by saying yes. Say yes, right? Where's Jerome? Jerome. Is it Jerome or Jerome? Jerome, right? Jerome, right? Jerome said yes, right? This is Jerome, right? And is it Kai? Kawhi, sorry, Kawhi. I love Kawhi, right? Kawhi's brilliant. He came for a beer with us last week, right? And all of the guys from Brinkworth, right? So these guys came up at the end of the talk and said hello to Adam Brinkworth. And if you don't know, Brinkworth create all of the shops for Supreme and Aries and kind of loads of other brands, right? So they come up and they said yes, and they come and they had a chat. And guess what happened? You went for lunch, right? So they went to the studio. They got taken out for lunch, right? And they got a T-shirt that you're wearing, right? I've got one as well, right? But you know what? We've got some more, right? So Brinkworth sent us some merch from the studio and from the project that they're doing with Policis that they talked about, right? And the person who is most proactive, the person who asks the best questions, I've got a T-shirt for you behind here. We've also got a bag of stickers and lots of other goodies that we can give away to you. So ask some good questions. They're nice T-shirts, right? I mean, you got the better one, actually. Yeah, and they are good quality. They are good quality t-shirts. Right, look, Felici's. So they said yes. Right, it's not really working that well. Right, so this is something else to say yes to. Right, there is a QR code. Right, get your phone out, scan that QR code if you can. Hopefully you can scan the QR code. Right, we're running a project with Brooklyn College and City University, New York. Right. You can work on a project with students in New York, right, for brands like All Saints are going to set a brand with Shelter, Charles Tyrwhitt is going to set a brief, Harris Tweed are going to set a brief, and the Burns Development Corporation are going to set a brief, right? Burns Development Corporation do luxury developments in the Hamptons. I don't know if you know where the Hamptons are, but it's kind of close to New York, and it's a pretty amazing area, right? So loads of opportunities for students who want to say yes. So many students don't say yes. There's lots of reasons not to say yes, right? It's, you know, I'm skinned, I need to go to work, I'm not confident enough, my work's not good enough, imposter syndrome, all of those things, right? And all of those things are really important, and I know you guys feel them. I feel them, actually, surprisingly. I have imposter syndrome every day. But say yes, and good things happen. Today's about saying yes. There's more people that said yes, right? Rajim, Lewis, Charisse, and Eugene. Where are you? These guys, right? Rave, Relate, Comms, right? They did this, right? And what did you get for saying yes? What did you do last Friday? So they went to the Pent Awards. We got them 5 free passes. 4 free passes? 5 free passes. 5 free passes to the Pent Awards, right? They got to see Stefan Sagmeister speak. They got to meet network with loads of big wigs in the design industry, right? They said yes. Say yes. Okay. Oh, sorry. And give these guys a big round of applause because the graphics are wicked, right? Okay, I'm going to shut up in a minute, but I just wanted to, because, you know, it's hard to get you guys to come here. It's hard. Those people that come really, really, really benefit. So go away and tell your friends that stay late, it's worth it. Look at this, brilliant graphics. This is Dines' work, who's going to be talking at the end of the evening. Unfortunately, Hamza couldn't make it tonight. He's an alumni. He was going to be speaking tonight. And this is Charlie Edmonds' work from the Future Architects Front. Can we have a big round of applause for Charlie? Charlie's sitting here. He's going to be talking to you in a minute. Good one tonight, man. It is a good one tonight. But first, before anything else, one of the most common things that students say to me when I ask them what they need, they go, we really need to understand copyright law, right? And we're talking about sharing your work tonight, right? So many students I know are really worried about, if I share my work on the internet, someone's going to nick my ideas, right? And it's a totally legitimate worry, right? So we approached BRIFA, who are specialist IP lawyers, and we asked for their advice, right? And Alex is here to talk to you. So huge round of applause for Alex. So Alex has got a really short talk that introduces kind of the basic concepts around copyright law, but then he's going to be sitting outside with a desk. Go up and speak to Alex, ask him some advice. So there's going to be lots of breaks tonight, lots of chance to have proper popcorn. I get some money every time I mention proper popcorn. So proper popcorn, right? I'm gonna. So there's going to be lots of opportunity for you to go and speak to. I'm down here because it's really bright on stage, and I don't know, the lighting thing's a little bit in your eyes. So yeah, big round of applause for Alex. I'll hand you over to him.
Cool, perfect, thank you. Hi everyone, and yeah, you're right, that light is bright.
Yeah.
So my name is Alex. I am a solicitor with Briffa, and as Derek says, we specialise in all things intellectual property and commercial law. So I was asked to come here today to give a very brief overview of intellectual property in general. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to be looking at trademarks, unregistered, registered, design rights. We'll very briefly touch upon patents, and then of course, copyright. And then at the end of this, as I said, we'll be outside. So if anyone wants any specific advice or if got any generic questions, I'm more than happy to have a quick, brief 10-minute chat with you all. So we'll go on to trademarks. Does anybody know anything about trademarks at all? Not so much, that's fine. Took me a couple of years to get used to it. But basically, trademarks are all things, your brand name, your logos, your badge of origin. Oh, it's going to go fast forward, will help me. They are there to protect your brand. And effectively, if you obtain one, they give you a monopoly right to use that perpetually or forever, subject to renewing them every 10 years or so. But they are a signifier of the origin of your goods, and it's where all of your goodwill and reputation comes from. You can have a fantastic idea and a fantastic product, but without a good brand behind it, it's not going to be very marketable and it's not going to get out there. On the flip side, you could have an absolutely atrocious product, but if you've got the right brand behind it, it will sell. And that's the power of trademarks. There are a couple of things which I'll fly through. The two main things for trademarking is must be distinctive and it cannot be descriptive. And what I mean by that is you can't, for example, if you wanted to, if you had an idea for a laptop, you can't call your brand laptop or computer or PC. It's just describing the goods. Likewise for socks, can't call it socks. Got to be a bit more imaginative. And that's why it's quite hard. Some various examples here of logos. So everyone will be familiar with all of these brands. And these are all sorts of examples as well of trademarks that can be registered. So your logos, you can trademark shapes and colors. So anyone will be familiar with the purple of Cadbury. They've recently obtained a trademark for that color purple. Slogans, McDonald's, I'm loving it. Words, stylized words, music. So anyone knows the sort of the Bings that HP have got, or Dell. All of these are all registered trademarks, and they're all signifiers of that brand. People often come to us and say, I need a trademark. And say, okay, great. Where do you want it? Now, worldwide, I need it everywhere. And that would be great, except it is really expensive to do so. And it's also just not feasible. The best thing to do is to look at which market are you going to be selling into, which market do you envisage the product going into in the future, and where do you envisage the product being manufactured or shipping into. These are the countries that you want to concentrate on and look at first and prioritize. And there's no reason why you can't, at a later date, expand and register marks in other countries later on down the line. Additionally, trademarks are broken up into 45 different classes. And so you've got 1 to 35, as it says on the screen, are all products. 36 to 45 are all services. And what we mean by that is, so for example, class 5 is all cosmetic products. Class 18 is stationery. 25 is clothing. 35 is retail services. 42 is design services. 41 is education services, and so forth. So you get it. So the idea is that you choose which classes you need to register your marks in. And the reason why that's important is because the market and the laws allow, somebody can have the same trademark as you, and it has happened, so long as you're not competing with one another. So for example, you could have a brand that does clothing, and you could have another company with the exact same brand name, but it does insurance. And they're not competing with one another. Nobody's going to confuse them as being a part of the same entity, and that's going to be okay. And that's where we get these classes from. So as I mentioned earlier, why register? It generates a monopoly over your chosen brand. You can use it solely. No one else can use it, or at least not legally. It allows you, the IPO will allow you to check for conflicting marks, and that's not moved on. There it has. So a lot of the time we see, it's something I stress that's important to consider is if you're looking at launching a product, think about the brand and don't just launch without really giving it some thought. We often and frequently come across clients who say to us, right, yeah, I've got a brand, I've got a product, got a prototype, we've got packaging, we've got a marketing campaign, we've got the socials, we've got the URLs, now we need the trademark. and we go, okay, right, let's look at the trademark. Really sorry, someone's already registered it as a trademark. That's left you in a bit of a pickle, because all of a sudden you spent quite not an insignificant sum of money on obtaining all of these things, and now you're looking at rebranding before you've even launched. And if you don't, you're risking trademark infringement. So I really do stress, think about your brand name at the earliest opportunity. And once you're settled on it, look around on the internet, look on Google, look on the IPO website and see if it's already been taken. And if it's not, prioritize putting a little bit of investment into it. If you believe in it, get that trademark registered, and you know you've got it then, and you know it's going to be secure. So we'll move quickly then on to registered, unregistered designs. So in the UK, design law is all about protecting shapes and configurations of products. Registered designs are an exclusive right, and they last for 25 years, subject to them being renewed every 5 years. They are very easy and straightforward to get hold of in the UK, which is a blessing and a bit of a pain at the same time. They are one of the cheapest IP rights that you can obtain, but equally, there is no checks. There's no checks done during the application process, hence why they're so easy to obtain. But it does mean that we often do find disputes arising between someone who thinks they've got a registered design and someone and finding out actually the design was already either registered or it's already existed. One of the key things about registered designs, and we often find with clients who, again, they've launched their product and they've got an example I had very recently was a client who was selling coffee, but his packaging was all based around in like old style VHS tapes. I haven't really seen it before. It's quite unique. And we sort of mentioned, well, we should really look at registering this packaging as a design and get this secured for you. Unfortunately, he'd already launched a product 2 years prior. And with registered designs, if you've already released the design, was already out in the public domain, and it has been for a year, then your rights won't be protected, basically. You will still, it's a funny thing, fickle things, you will still almost certainly get the registration certificate. But if anyone finds out that you launched it a year earlier, then someone can apply to just get it kicked out, basically. Occasionally, what we do advise is, and this sort of comes a bit more commercial advice, is we say to some clients, look, it's even though it was already launched, it might be worthwhile getting hold of it. The reason being is that if there are any other startups that are coming along, or if anyone's copying you and they're sort of small fry, then a solicitor's letter to them, cheap solicitor's letter, cease and desist letter, might just scare them off and go, oh, okay, yeah, we'll change it, we'll stop doing that. Obviously, if there's anyone bigger, paying a solicitor for an hour to have a quick look and find out if it's valid or not, it's not going to be a problem for them. So it's about targeting who you approach. But in any event, very good thing to have. If you don't get them registered, you do have some unregistered design rights. These are automatic. They are limited in their protection. They will protect the shape, so internal and externals of an article. They arise automatically, and they are owned by the creator, or if you're an employee, they'll be owned by your employer. They last only 10 years from the first sale, subject to a license right. What we mean by that is, in the last 5 years of that protection, you automatically have to give licenses for those designs. It doesn't protect any surface design decoration or anything copied or commonplace. So again, it's all about originality, being novel. That's basically that, yeah. I've got some examples here of some designs that we've worked with from various brands that are all protected. So you can see they cover, they can cover just about anything, to be fair. Surface pattern, surface decorations, design on watches, clothing, even you'll see some designers maybe have like special tags or unique design tags on the back of shirts. All of these things can be protected. So overall, we look at comparison designs, registered, unregistered designs. Unregistered are free. Registered rights, a longer term of protection, so it's 25 years as opposed to 10. Unregistered rights, you need to prove. You need to prove copying. So what we mean by that is, with registered rights, if someone's infringing on the product, you don't need to do anything other than raise your certificate and say, I've got this, you're infringing, back off. With unregistered rights, you need to go through a whole process of actually proving that someone has copied your work. And that's easier said than done, because it's not just a case of comparing the two products and saying they're similar or not. It's about saying, well, did they actually have the opportunity to see my product? Have they actually seen it, and have they actually copied it? And that's where things get really difficult. And I'll speak a little bit more on that in copyright. Registered, obviously certified, unregistered, limited jurisdictions. So the UK and the EU have unregistered design rights, but that's in terms of big markets, that's about it. America, Canada, most countries in Asia, Australia, none of those have unregistered design rights. So if you're looking to protect on broader jurisdictions, you will need to register them. And as I said, registration earlier, it's a small fee, but you can get quite a lot of protection out of them. I'll touch briefly on patents because it's not something that we do a lot of work in. So patents here, the idea IP is that concepts or ideas can't be protected. It's all about the expression of that idea. Patents kind of turn that on its head, where you can actually protect an idea or an invention. And it's one of the strongest forms of IP protection that you can obtain. Monopoly rights for 20 years on the invention must be new, must be novel, and there must be a new process or a new way of doing something. Again, key points, must be novel. You must not publicly disclose anything to do with a product that you're looking to patent. Any public disclosure will be fatal to that. Allocate sufficient budget. Patents are really expensive. In the UK, you'd be looking at about £3,000 to £5,000 to start off with, and there'll be more where that comes from. But if you are able to attain it, then it becomes a massively attractive to investors, because you've got sole rights in that product, and if it's going to sell well, then you're the only one who can do it. Copyright, and I will appreciate need to quickly move on with this. So, as I said, there's no right in an idea. The copyright is about protects the expression of original ideas. Yeah. So it's the whole point behind it is to prevent copying. The right is free. So a lot of people say to us, I need to register my copyright. And actually, they don't realize that they've got the copyright already. So whenever you write something, draw something, design something, you're automatically the copyright owner. Copyright lasts for 70 years post the author's death, and it's worldwide coverage. There's lots of laws are all completely in sync one another, which makes it very easy. A couple of design things there. I'll speak more about the monkey photo outside because I realize I'm running out of time, but that was quite an interesting case about whether or not a monkey could own the intellectual property of a photograph. No joke. And then, yeah, very lastly then, as I said, copyright is completely free. Do consider authors' positions. So what I mean by that is, if you are working as a part of a group or a collaboration, there might be joint copyright involved. So you might not have the sole copyright, and that will affect things like how you license that product. You might need agreement amongst the entire group. Assess the chain of title. So if you're purchasing copyright or you're looking to sell copyright, make sure you do own that title, and what you're purchasing, the person who's selling it has got the right to do so. Proof of ownership, it's always a good idea to keep records of the work that you're doing. So keep dated records. So if there's any dispute about who came first, if there is an infringement action being brought against you, you've got the records to say, look, actually, this was my own idea. This is when I did it. This is my origin. And confirmatory assignments, basically, as the process of copyright goes, and it ties in with a chain of title, make sure you get confirmatory assignment. They're just small agreements that basically give you the ownership of that. And as I said, don't let it be the chink in your armor. So that's the quick 101 on IP. As I said, I'll be outside to answer questions, generally, specifically. So do feel free to come say hello. That's me.
Thank you. Thank you. Really good, like super useful. Just a really quick story. I did a t-shirt design when I was 17. And I was given the choice between getting paid £150 as a one-off fee or getting 50p for every t-shirt sold. And it was for a friend of mine that ran a club night, didn't think it was going to sell. He ended up becoming really famous. The t-shirt sold over 150,000 copies. So, but what I was going to say is, but I realised that actually when I spoke to a copyright lawyer, I still owned the copyright on those t-shirts. So it meant I could go back later on and negotiate a fee. So it's really, really important to understand these things. I'm mic-less now. Our next person that we've got on stage is Claire Blythe from Red Setter PR. Big round of applause.
Hi, should we talk about the
Yes.
finger
Yeah, yeah,
hacks?
yeah.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
So you want
Thanks
to go
so
to the
much
next
for
slide? So oh, I've got the slide thing.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here tonight. Oh, should we talk about this now then?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, okay, let's go for it. Before I talk about the podcast, I wanted to mention a little bit about a thing that I'm doing at the moment called the Creative Industry Alliance. And it's a group of people kind of from the sort of top of the design. It's one of the leading figures, Sean Thomas in JKR, Jack Rennick, who's the head of DNAD. And basically we've got a load of people together, such as the head of the Design Council, one of the heads of John Lewis has signed up for it, head of futurologist just at John Lewis. We've got loads of people together to talk about the fact that art funding in school has taken a massive nosedive. 2010, if you look at the figures to now, art funding in state schools particularly, it's just rarely existent anymore. There's loads of stats on it, like 75% of art teachers are thinking of leaving. They even have to supply their own materials in school. They don't get paid much anyway, then they have to supply their own materials. And it's a pretty awful situation that, I mean, you hear the government talking about everyone taking maths till they're 18 and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's such a wrong focus. The UK is considered to be one of the leading design centres in the world. And we're going to lose that. And we're going to lose the whole diversity issue involved in the whole thing. Basically, it's just people that go to private schools that are going to be able to afford to, are going to have the education to actually do it, become designers like you guys. So we're trying to do something about it. So we wrote to Jeremy Hunt, Chancellor of the Exchequer today, and we've written to a few other people in the Department of Education and stuff like that. Basically saying this has got to change. Next week there's a budget. We've got to put more into art in schools. So hoping that, we're hoping that gets changed now. But even if it doesn't get changed now, it could be the beginning of a big campaign that maybe for the next big budget, it'll be a big thing that can actually kick something off and hopefully change it within art. But what you can do is, this website is creativeindustyalliance.co. So if you go onto that website, basically if you go onto that website and then click on the sign the petition, that will send you through to the change.org and sign the petition, and hopefully we'll get some funding back for art in schools again.
Yeah, and this is important. This affects you, right? You know, like, because these are the companies that you will go and end up getting jobs for. And the problem that we have in the UK at the moment, we lead the world in the creative industries, but the creative industries are not getting the talent that they need. And because that talent isn't entering the industry because they didn't aware that art was an available subject for them. So it's super, super important. So yeah, we'll be promoting this like all through the Owler space and through all of our different channels. Okay, so please take note of it. The industry is trying to do something and they need to be supported. I think it's really important that if you want the industry to support you, we need to support the industry. So thank you for that, Claire. And now I'm going to hand over to Claire to talk about the My Life in Design podcast.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm here to talk about a podcast that I host, My Life in Design. I set up the podcast about 18 months ago. And basically I did it because it's this whole thing about diversity in design again. It's a massive problem. And it's quite historically quite white, middle-class male, that kind of thing. So if we look back, basically I wanted to get different types of people into design. I kind of was thinking, when I was a kid, the thought of setting up a design agency or the thought of the fact there was a design industry, or even if they knew that there was a design industry, how to actually set a business up and how to actually go, how to get clients, how to go from A to B, I wouldn't have had a clue where to start. So I thought I'll just interview all of my favorite designers and find out actually how they did it. So speaking to people like Gush at Bulletproof, who does all of Cadbury's design, he basically was really into graffiti age 5. Well, he moved over from India age 5, got really into graffiti as a teenager, and then got really into typography through that. And now he runs the largest independent design agency in the world. So it's that kind of thing that you can just take you through step by step. But I'll start off by playing. How do I play this? The audio file on it.
Branding is a dangerous thing to say you do because so many brands, number one, fail, and you won't and then there are parts of it that you never control.
Yeah.
Like if Shake Shack had had food poisoning, I would have owned that, like that. There's that happens. I mean, and that we can't, a brand is an amalgamation of everything. It is what the place is about, how the place feels or the product feels, and that plus everybody else's perception of it. That is the brand, and no human being can control that. And what I do is I create a component of the brand, and that is really based on visual identity and sometimes verbal identity.
Yeah, the brand is almost uncontrollable, isn't it? It's the
brand is, I'm an identity designer. How can I design a brand? What if you do a logo for a bank and it's completely corrupt and gone under? Then you have to hide that you did it.
Absolutely.
The next is Tony Brook at Spin.
The first person that we employed was a student. We've always invested in students. It takes people a while to get up to speed, but you find that was a chance I was given.
Yeah.
And if you, it's more about finding. It's a really strange combination. It's kind of partly personality, partly talent, and partly motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to find all of those things. Somebody you really like is really talented and has all the motivation to learn all the techniques and stuff like that are required in today's world. Like I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't exist so I know how to use InDesign and things like that. But a student coming into the studio now has to know how to contribute to animation and print, and also so it's much tougher in a way.
Yeah, it's true. A lot more physical skills to learn.
And not all studios rely on that as much as we do, but a lot of them do, and it's a huge advantage. So in one way, it's a disadvantage because the students have to learn all this new stuff, but it's a massive advantage when they get into a studio if they've got this skill,
absolutely,
because they get better opportunities.
Yeah,
because they have these new skills. So that's still the case now.
Yeah, motion is going to be.
Yeah, it's everything. Extremely. Well, if you think that everything that we design appears on a screen at some point.
Yeah,
absolutely everything we do appears on the screen.
An incredible amount of change is happening, of course, always in design with technology.
Yeah.
Now, there's big change that is going to be with AI.
Of course.
And I think it would be a super interesting time to enter design right now, because you have this giant change of technology that you will be able to take advantage of right from the beginning and ride that wave, like where that's going. I actually was not at the ideal time in design school, because I basically went to design school just pre-digitalization.
Yeah, just before the Macs came in. And absolutely.
And so basically I had to learn all that just a year later. I think 4 years later probably has been an advantage, but it's fine.
So I just thought I'd play you a few clips of. I managed to collar Stefan Sagmeister just after the Pent Awards last week, actually, and he was fantastic. He did such a good speech there, and then went into. He gave me an hour to do a podcast with him. But let's see. I thought I'll tell you a bit about. So basically, the reason I'm doing this podcast as well is because I run a PR agency called Red Setter. Red Setter are design-focused PR agency. So we just work with brand designers. So we work with lots of different people around the world, lots of different agencies around the world. And I set Red Setter up, 14 years ago, basically because I really wanted to be a designer. And when I was at school, I asked our careers teacher whether, that I was really interested in graphic design. And the careers teacher said, don't be so ridiculous. It's really competitive. Don't do it. Being a 15-year-old at the time, I took that on board and didn't do it. Kind of regretted it ever since. But then time went on. and I really wanted to get into design, and I was working in business development in design. So I thought if I start talking about it and start writing about it and employ good people that write about it as well and push it out into the media, it means I'm kind of in the center of the industry. I kind of get to do it every day, but don't actually end up being the design thing. So I'm kind of trying to get in through the back door, basically. But it's just, the podcast is really this whole thing of show, don't tell. We've been talking about the fact that we're at the center of the design industry and what we do and how we understand it for years. This was kind of a way of actually showing that we are at the center of the design industry. And also it's a way, surprisingly amazing way, of me being able to just email my favorite designers and say, do you fancy doing a podcast? And most of them say yes, which is quite a surprise, but it's really, really good. So we started this about 18 months ago. I say we because it's not just me that does it. I host it, but Vicky, our head of comms, is fantastic in planning the whole thing and getting it out on social media. Paul, my sound engineer, is amazing, and he edits the whole thing and makes it sound really, really good. I think teamwork is really important. Personally, teamwork is really important on the whole thing. I think, if I'm being honest, if it was up to me, I'd probably just do the odd one every now and then. It wouldn't really become a thing. But because I'm working in a team and I've promised people things, I end up actually doing it and sticking to deadlines and pulling my finger out, basically, and actually getting one a week out. I do a series of 10 3 times a year, sort of put them around the university terms. And yeah, it's been surprisingly successful. I kind of wasn't sure how it was going to go. Each episode gets about between 1,000 and 4,000 downloads. Considering it's pretty niche in design, I'm really happy with. But it's getting bigger each time, so who knows where it'll go. But it's it's really good fun to do. I thought I would then talk a little bit about whether you could start a podcast. The reason that I would massively be an advocate of starting your own podcast is it's one of those things that if you want to show expertise and passion in an area, or if you want to learn expertise and show passion in an area, it's, say you really wanted to work within sports branding. If you go around and choose people that you wanted to work with within the area of sports branding and interview them and put it out on a podcast, it really shows that it matters to you. You can work out exactly who you'd like to speak to and invite them on the show. I would make it super easy for the guests, so I wouldn't necessarily get a room here and try and get them all here and stuff like that, just because it can be a bit of a pain to get to. I'd go to their studio and make it as super easy as possible, or just do it online. If you can just do it online, that's an easy way to do it as well, but make it really sort of easy for them to fit into. But I think you'll be surprised at how many people actually say yes. I think the design industry is a really lovely, friendly industry, and people like helping people. And I think if students, if you approach people, get used to the fact that some people are going to knock you back. Some people aren't going to say yes, but quite a lot of people will actually say yes to the whole thing. And then you get to meet your design heroes, people like Stefan Sogmeister last week, which is really exciting. You also get to learn loads about the areas as you go. Every time I do a podcast with someone, I get to know loads more stuff about design and then end up going down little wormholes on it. So I did a podcast with Brian Collins in April and then went back and went to see him speak last week in Shoreditch, and you sort of learn more and more about the people and kind of what they're doing. I thought I'd just end briefly by talking about how to do it. I'm sure quite a lot of you know about sort of what to do. I've kind of wasted a hell of a lot of time and money basically going down the wrong routes and choosing the wrong equipment and then getting the right stuff and all this kind of thing. So if anyone wants to know any details, give me a shout. But generally, if you want to do it in person, you can mix it up, get some mics and a stand. I use a Zoom H6 recorder, just a little tiny box that basically records everything onto, which is really good. They're about £180. So as a group of you together or something, it could work. But online is pretty easy to do. Riverside's my favorite software, but I started in Series 1 just by recording Zoom calls and stuff like that. So you can do it. You can do it on anything, really. Try and make the quality of sound as good as possible, because I think then people will actually listen to it. you must have all turned podcasts on if it's really scratchy sound or something like that. You sort of turn it off. So try and pay a lot of attention to that. And then pushing it out through Apple, Spotify and everything. I use Buzzsprout. I think it's really good software to do it. But that is it really. Thank you very much. Good luck. And I hope we start.
Thank you, Claire. Fantastic. How many of you have heard of Stefan Sagmeister? Put up your hand if you know who Stefan Sagmeister is. Come find out how. So Stefan Sagmeister came to fame, talking about sharing your work, right? So Stefan Sagmeister became famous because he did an invite to an event he was doing, and he literally cut the words of the invite into his skin, photographed it, and that became the invite. Look it up, Stefan Sagmeister. Became really famous as a result of that, and it kind of launched his career. I'm not suggesting you guys try all of that, right? But, you know, like it's kind of interesting to say. Right, so time for drinks. Got loads of proper, it's like another 50p, lots of proper corn for you to get involved in, and drinks from the lovely Ben over there. After that, we've got Charlie Edmonds. Go out for Jimmy Riddle. Who knows what Jimmy Riddle is? Yeah, anyway. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. Lighting's so... Oh, yeah. Good. Come on, everyone. Come and sit down. Come on, Jerome. Jerome, are you getting advice on your company from the copyright lawyer, yeah?
Oh, yes, yes, sir.
You definitely need to speak to him. Why? Okay, so we talk a lot about diversity, and diversity happens in lots and lots of different ways. And I think it's important that, you know, we recognize that, you know, having lots of different points of view is super, super important. And we've got lots of different points of view in the talks tonight. And I think it's important that you kind of have all of these different opinions. One opinion is that you leave college and you try and get a job and you try and fit into the system. Another opinion is that you create your own system, right? So Charlie's kind of on the latter, I think. So if you'd like to give a huge Ravensbourne welcome, that sounds really showbiz, doesn't it? A huge welcome to Charlie Edmonds.
Hey, oh wow, that is blinding, isn't it? Bloody hell. All right, yeah, hi everyone. So yeah, I think a way to consider the difference between what I'm going to share with you today and I suppose a lot of things that you're usually introduced to in university is that one way of thinking about this kind of content is that on the one hand, you're being taught about how to sort of survive and exceed within existing systems that we are often sort of born and pushed into, right? And then another way to think about this is how do you actually look at those systems and try and figure out to what extent are these systems serving us and to what extent do these need to be changed, dismantled, and restructured? So the talk that I do on this topic is called Towards an End of Architecture because it's usually delivered to architecture students, but I understand there's a broad mix of people in the room today. So really, I suppose I sort of bury the lead with this title when I give it to architecture students, because what I'm really talking about is towards an end of the sort of existing status quo of capitalism as we know it today. And so I'll start off by just talking a bit about what FAF is, like what Future Architects Front is and does, and then lead into a bit of the context of why I think this wider framing is really useful to think about. So if you've come across FAF before, you will have probably done it in one of these two forms, either an Instagram page or a Twitter page. And essentially this is because we were born out of the lockdown of 2021. And we were architecture graduates at the time, and we were frustrated with the state of the sector that we were moving into. And again, I'm going to talk about a lot of things to do with architecture today, but this is perfectly applicable to any sector where you're going into predominantly private businesses, which is currently most of them. So this should be something that is very familiar, very relevant to most backgrounds here. So yeah, we were frustrated with the sort of low pay and very limited opportunities of private architectural work, and in particular, the type of work that was being conducted. At the time, there wasn't a lot of outlets for this frustration. And so we decided to create one through FAF, Future Architects Front. And essentially what started to happen was that we saw a lot of our concerns reflected back to us through Instagram, DMs, and sort of various types of interaction on social media. And we decided to kind of like anonymously share a lot of these experiences on the page, which acted as a bit of a sort of like, almost like a confessional, but one where everyone got to see that actually their experiences were not so unusual and that they were very well reflected in wider practice. And we kind of took all these experiences and we formulated them into an open letter directed at the Royal Institute of British Architects as a sort of institution which in theory should be representing the interests of graduates and workers and you know, people that were in our position. This was signed by over 1,800 people, which really kind of blew us away because this was within the first few months of FAF existing. You know, we weren't a big entity. We'd had a couple of thousand social media followers, but you could kind of tell how much our critique of the existing practice of architecture resonated with people because of just how widespread the support for this letter was. And to cut a long story short, the open letter didn't work. And so we decided that if the people in Reba right now aren't going to listen to us, we'll just build a campaign that puts someone in Reba who will listen to us. So about a year later, we, along with the Architecture Union, the Architects Climate Action Network, and a number of other student organizers and different campaign groups, we decided to run our own pre-election election and basically put forward someone who would be a kind of workers candidate. So not the typical architectural boss that you usually see in this position of Royal Institute of British Architects president, but someone who's a worker, someone who understands the conditions of contemporary employment in private practice. And so we put Moira forward because he won our internal election, and then fast forward a few months, he ends up winning the real election. And so he now is the Reba president, which is a pretty wild testament to the power of grassroots organizing through social media. We also worked with the Architects Registration Board around the time that we published some work that we'd done on reforming design education. And again, to kind of cut a very long story short, we were then brought in as a sort of consultant in this process, which led to the ARB announcing some of the most ambitious reforms that they had put into place for 50 years. And yeah, all of this came from just kind of putting form to our critiques. So the things that everyone talks about in the gaps between lectures, the things that everyone talks about when they go home from a tutorial or from a seminar or something, just putting form to this, giving it some kind of organizational structure, and then putting it out into the world is how we were able to kind of leverage the current digital landscape we live in and secure these kinds of changes. But what I really want to talk about is like not just doing this kind of thing from the point of view of getting noticed, or doing this sort of thing from the point of view of building a business or making money. What I'm really interested in is why this is not only a good thing to do, but something that is absolutely necessary in every way that we can use that word. And one reason why it is necessary is because of the proletarianization of architectural workers. And again, this will apply to many, many, many different sectors. So I'm talking about architects, but this very likely refers to you as well. And what I mean by the proletarianization of architectural workers is largely a result of a history of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism largely comes about in the US and the UK, thanks to these two, Thatcher and Reagan. And essentially what you can think of neoliberalism as is a political ideology which believes that government should be doing as little as possible to support people. So you just heard about the petition to increase funding to arts education, right? That is a direct result of neoliberalism. University funding has come down and down and down and down. Your fees have come up and up and up and up, right? This is a direct outcome of neoliberalism. So you can also see this in terms of how government finances are directed. So public corporations, which at one time would have included things like people designing public parks, social housing, lots of different types of public amenities. This took a nosedive around the 80s when neoliberalism kicks off. And then even more recently, around the time of austerity, you see central government spending and local government spending invert. So councils are getting given less and less money, and whereas central government spending has climbed and climbed. So essentially, the actual outcome of governance has become centralized, privatized, and the sort of allocation of public funds to public groups and public need has been replaced by the space for private investment and private business, This is why none of us can get a train without it being delayed, for example. And again, to zoom in on the example of architects, you can see this really plainly within the span of about 50 years, just by looking at how much the type of architectural work available to graduates has changed. So in 1976, about half of all UK architects worked for the public sector. So they're doing things like social housing, they're doing things like public parks, public amenity work. Fast forward to today, that figure's gone down to less than 1%. So it's really, really, really rare as an architect, or indeed any type of creative professional, to be working for the public. You're almost always working for a private group, because that is how the landscape of the economy has changed throughout this time and throughout this process. And you can kind of see a lot of this history very clearly if you look at things like, the history of income inequality, the history of union membership. For anyone who doesn't know, a union is basically a group of workers that formalize a sort of solidarity network with one another so that they can balance the power imbalance between them and their employer. So let's say inflation's gone up, 15%. You think, well, if everything's 15% more expensive, I should be getting paid 15% more. If you go into the office into your boss's office by yourself and say that, you'll probably be laughed out. But if you and all your co-workers go in and say that, you've got a much better chance of getting it. So essentially, this is the logic of what a union is. And unions were very much at the brunt of the way that policies changed under Thatcher and successive governments. And so you can see how, as union membership declines, income inequality rises and value is more distributed inequitably. And again, this isn't just me getting on a stage and making a bunch of wild assertions. You can literally see this in data. So you can see how that top line there is labor productivity. As time passes, technology improves, we produce more per hour. So as an architect, you would have, decades ago used a pen and paper, then you would have used something like CAD, like a basic computer software. Now you can use 3D modeling that is incredibly productive and and you can do a lot in a short amount of time. So you're always producing more. But again, at that neoliberal point of the 80s, we see that the remuneration you get, the earnings that you get for your productivity decouple. So rather than your pay rising with productivity, which is what happened for the first half of the 20th century, your pay starts to rise slower than productivity. And let me tell you, that value that comes out of your productivity, that doesn't disappear. That just goes somewhere else. So this is the sort of context that we're talking about. And this is why a lot of the creative industry, architects included, typically don't view themselves as workers, right? You see a train strike and you don't necessarily feel that you relate to that condition of being a rail worker, for example. And a lot of the reason for that disconnect is because creative sectors have a history of being white collar. They have a history of being something that's often called the labor aristocracy, which is where you are still a worker, but you have certain protections that separate you from the concerns of many other workers. So a lot of these things are conditions that architects and other creative sector workers would have had about 50 years ago, but these are increasingly falling away. And again, this kind of protection, this white collarness, still is why it's hard to have these kinds of conversations in architecture and in creative sectors, because you can literally see architecture at the top of there in a study of different privileged sectors. So because of the protections that previous generations of architects had, it's still an industry that overall doesn't really get a lot of the things that I'm talking about. But the reason that that's changing, the reason why I'm here today, and the reason why we were able to successfully elect Moira, the reason why there's now an architecture union, is because the sort of the benefits of previous years are not being distributed equitably. So you can see from this graph that wealth is increasingly becoming concentrated in older age groups. If you look at the salary of a Part 1 architectural assistant, which is the first job you get after you finish your undergrad, that in real terms is lower than it was in 2006. If you look at the pay scales, the Reba pay scales, which gives you an idea of average salaries, the part one average salary last year was 22 grand. The minimum wage right now is 21,673 pounds. So we're getting to a point where, as part of this sort of neoliberal trend in the creative sectors, in order to compete with one another in an increasingly privatized market, firms of all kinds, architect and other creative firms, lower their fees to win work. But if they're lowering their fees, they need to find that money to recoup somewhere. And that money typically is found in the salaries of the lowest paid people in the firm. So we're now at a point where this kind of cost cutting from your most junior employees' salaries, this is now reaching a point where it can't go any lower. We've started to reach the bedrock of this. And this is why you're starting to see groups like us and groups like the union emerge in fields like architecture and creative practices that historically have not been unionized in any way. So this is kind of what it feels like to be in this situation, not only from, you know, the kind of work conditions that you come across, but also like every single other thing that you read in the news. And all of this degradation of public life, it's not unrelated. It all comes from a common sort of root cause, which is that the political economy that we live in today is fundamentally rooted and oriented towards social and ecological extraction of value. And I can show you a bit about how this works in the built environment. So if we look at a sort of so when I talk about capitalist production, this meme is a great example of like what that is in a legible way. So this says, honey, tell me what's wrong. My coworkers and I produce 3 million worth of goods every year. The materials and utilities cost 800,000. The tools cost 200,000, and all of us combined get paid 500,000, which means that there's $1,500,000 being paid to someone who didn't contribute to the work at all. Oh, fuck. So that basically is, in one joke, what I'm talking about when I talk about capitalist production. Capitalist production is essentially this relationship where you as a worker, your day looks like this, where you have 8 hours, right, typically in the working day. Within some of that, that is the value that you get to pay your rent, to pay your bills, that kind of thing. And then on top of that, you produce surplus value, which otherwise is called profit, right? So that means that from the point of view of your employer has two main motives. Either because your employer is mainly interested in this surplus value because that's their profit. So their two main motives are to get you to work more, to get you to extend the working day to increase that surplus value, or to make you more productive. Because if you're more productive, it takes less time for you to reproduce this necessary value that you need to pay your bills and things. So that is the distinction that we see between that previous experience of the worker in the meme and this point of view, which is largely from the sort of business logic of a business, of an employer. And this speaks to two fundamentally different types of value that you will have depending on if you're employed or depending on if you're an employer. So most people who are workers are primarily interested in something called use value. So how necessary something is to your life. So you sell, and this little CMC thing, that stands for commodity and money. So as a worker, you sell the only commodity you have, which is your labor, to get paid, and then you use that to get another commodity, food, rent, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas the point of view of a business, the point of view of capital, which is the driving motor of our lives right now, is that you put money in, you buy a commodity, something like labor or something else, and then you get more money for that commodity, right? So a lot of the crises that we're seeing right now emerge from the very simple fact of exchange value, which is quantitative and extractive, being the primary decision-making motive of our existing economy. And I'll give you some examples. And this repeats, right? Because you can't just stop after one circuit. Like as a business, you have to keep making money, keep investing, keep making money, keep investing, da, 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 da. So it doesn't just stop after one time. And I'll give you an example of how this plays out in the built environment in particular. So there's one very popular type of architectural project, which I like to call the edgy kitchen extension. And this is, and one thing that I think is really useful about thinking about the built environment and any type of production through the lens of capital is that you start to see different types of capital manifest in different outcomes very consistently. So the edgy kitchen extension is a very clear manifestation of an increased Gini coefficient. So these types of sort of bougie London extensions, these exist because there's gentrification, there's people coming into cities with a lot of disposable income, and they have the space to extend the kitchen and pay an architect to make it look fancy. So that is the political economic root, that's the capital root of this very common outcome that you see in the built environment. Perhaps an even more common outcome of capital in the built environment is what I like to call vacuous New London vernacular bullshit. And this is where exchange value is so prioritized that there is not even a pretense that these buildings are being made for any kind of quality. These things are less than 5 years old and they are falling apart, the balconies are falling off, they're having mold issues, they are quality-wise abysmal. But the thing is it doesn't matter about the quality of the building because the thing that they are responding to is the fact that land value has inflated at an astonishing rate in the last 20 years. So they know that it doesn't matter what they build because they're going to be able to capture the inflation of land value regardless. So sometimes when I talk about this, I think it comes across as me presenting kind of, you know, this two, like this dichotomy of choices where the artisan is the good choice and the developer is the bad choice. But really, neither of them are good choices. Like either way, you're having to work according to a fundamentally extractive baseline, right? And so this is why we're so interested in how you can try and change these baselines and change these systems. And what I think a lot of people are not getting yet is that these systems are going to change whether we do that intentionally or not. And let me sort of tell you why that is. How am I doing for time, by the way? Am I ending?
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Bloody hell, all right. So.
It's good, I mean, it's good, right? I mean, it's real talk.
Is it 5 minutes extra good? We'll see. I can rush through it. So let me tell you about why change is inevitable. This is probably the most important graph that sums up where we are right now as a civilization. The middle one is value, gross world product. This is an amalgamation of GDP, gross domestic product. GDP is the baseline measure of what we currently see today as a successful economy, right? The problem with GDP as the measure of an economy is that GDP is inextricably tied to carbon emissions and material extraction, both of which are the factors that are leading us to societal self-termination. So if we are on this route of following GDP, following the impulses of private enterprise, we're on essentially a self-termination pathway. So we need to be thinking about how to wrest governance away from making decisions according to GDP and towards making decisions according to social and ecological necessity. And why I say that this is going to happen whether we mean to change or not is the material reality of what I'm talking about. So this is the 5 most consumed resources on Earth. Water, not surprising, but I always find sand being the second most consumed natural resource quite surprising, but it is. And the reason for that is 75% of this is construction grade sand that goes into concrete production, which goes into the development of the built environment, architecture. The downside to this is that we're consuming sand, which is a finite resource, at such a rate that a lot of academics researching this topic are predicting that we're going to start running out around 2050. So we're at a point now where the baseline of the majority of built environment production is based on an untenable type of material extraction. So you might like Tadawando, but like those concrete buildings maybe are going to have to change at some point. And the other thing to keep in mind in this conversation is that even the type of extraction that we see right now, the value of it is not distributed equitably. So this is a map of, staying on the topic of sand, this is a map of where that sand is consumed for urban development projects. So as you can see, it's mostly consumed in rich global north countries. And you know for sure it's not always extracted from rich global north countries. So this is an additional layer of the untenability of these current production systems that we exist within. And I think holding that global perspective is really important, because if we are purely just thinking about a transition that prioritizes countries like the UK, then we end up falling into this mindset, which says a transition to renewable energies in the global north, premised on the plunder and exploitation of the lands and people of the global south, is not climate justice, it's green capitalism, it's green colonialism. And if any of you have seen the recent reports from Congo about the cobalt mining, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. So, and again, a lot of this is not abstract. Like, you can see someone like Elon Musk straight up be like, yeah, we're doing colonialism and we love it, deal with it. Like, it's not abstract, it's very on the surface. So, my kind of call to people, my call to architects, and my call to, anyone else who sees their work reflected in what I'm talking about, is captured nicely in this quote, which says, "The only alternative to predatory overconsumption of finite resources is to utterly subordinate the practice of architecture, or most practices, to the betterment of human lives by force if necessary. Of course, architecture already is dominated by the master of capital, which gives it form, an ethos, a way of acting. I propose this master be usurped by a social force that seeks to devastate the capitalist world in favor of a human one. Architecture, as it stands, has become exceedingly adept at dying. What if we learned to fight?" And so I'm going to skip through the last bit, which is how to fight. One is some light reading, but won't worry about this because this is very architecture focused. This
Yo, yeah. Perfect. Is that laser?
That one, yeah?
Yeah, perfect.
You good? Okay. We could have a huge round of applause for Dines Runoff. Dines from Studio Blup.
Right, let's do a little intro video, yeah? Let's go. Let's turn up the sound.
I never been the motherfucking game that you walk down. Risen up the purgatory, you need to come now. Straight from the underworld, coming for the underground. Motherfuckers better watch out for the mailhound. I never been the motherfucking game that you walk down.
Sorry, there was a bit of swearing in there, Mum, if you're watching. But I thought, you know what, we're independent again, so I can put swearing in my videos, you know what I mean? So, good to meet you, everyone. Who's seen a Studio Blup talk before? Yeah, okay, so some bits of there, familiar faces. Just want to shout out Derek as well for putting this absolutely amazing show on. True friend of mine and a pioneer, so we're lucky to be in his presence and leading this industry, all right? So thanks for inviting me as well. Good to meet everyone else here. All right, so let's kick this off. Anticipation, yeah? We have to go old school, yeah? Little pointers. Right, so anyway, I'm Dines, CEO, digital artist, creative director, a mentor, a new business guy. And I'm a co-founder of Studio Blup. And today, I've kind of slightly tweaked the slides to kind of match this theme of how to share your ideas and get noticed, all right? So, founded in 2013, my best mate Alex, when I was in my second year of university. So I thought, you know what, there's going to be sorry guys, I got a little bit disappointed, but like jobs are hard in this world, in this industry. So I thought, let me try and do it myself. Let's start from the bottom. Let's eat the dirt and create something massive. And thank God I did. 15 years later, yeah, we're working with the world's biggest brands, doing what we need to do, and just having good fun with it. There's a little snapshot of the work that we're kind of currently sort of doing. Little laser. MTV, Kylie Jenner, Nerf, a bit of like Marc Jacobs, Gucci, Puma. The list is endless, but the whole point is, when I was sitting in the audience when I was your age, I was thinking like, how do I one day work with the biggest brands? And I needed a tactic to make sure that when I'm speaking to these guys, I'm respected when I walk into the room because the portfolio is top notch. There's a little kind of like snapshot of like FIFA, what we did last year. There's Erling Haaland before he like absolutely blew up. And to be invited to do some stuff with FIFA was a dream come true, especially for Alex, my business partner, who loved FIFA, and he was just buzzing that we got like free games and free like invites to the launch parties. But again, through the work that we was doing, we got access into the stuff that we always dreamt of being. Our latest project with Metallica, iconic rock band, metal band, and basically, I mean, look, they came knocking on our door, EMI Records, and said, Dines, can you do something epic for us in the middle of Oxford Street on the Alternet with these big digital screens? And they said, can you just make sure you create something that's kind of groundbreaking? So we had 2 weeks to put something together, and we launched it, and people could just walk through, take pictures and film it and stuff. But yeah, absolute honor to be part of this. And I think Archie and Harry's in the audience somewhere. They helped us put some stuff together. But like I said, you know, our studio, we want to give like opportunities to you guys to work on iconic projects, so you have it in your portfolio for the rest of the time. This is my whole like premises, right? It's about believing in your potential and navigate challenges and embracing complexity with ease. All right. So we're going to kind of, actually, I've got a little challenge for you guys, right? These are going to be slides popping up. So take a picture, tag studio_blup on Instagram, and there's going to be like a lucky winner to win like a couple of bits of t-shirts and stuff like that. So get tagging and get sharing and stuff, right? So but remember, these are things that you're going to have to take into your lives and actually like follow them to the T, all right? So anyway, cultivate curiosity. Always maintain a sense of curiosity about the world around you, which can fuel the creative thinking. So, not just a designer, but it's all about just getting in the atmosphere, getting in the environment, going on stage, going to fashion shows, going everywhere where I think that the culture is taking me. Because this is the most important thing. Like when I'm actually trying to like design, I want to actually make sure that I'm appealing to the audience that I'm watching. And the thing is, though, you have to absorb the environment. You've got to absorb the vibe. And that's just going to reflect in everything that you do moving forward. Another thing as well, as I get older, yeah, not old, like my taste like refined. So I'm into like architecture, like rare sneakers, like watches, like minimal color palettes, how food is like turned into art. But for me, it's all about like finding stuff that I love and actually bringing it forward and just getting inspiration from every other area that I want to work in. So you've got to embrace challenges with confidence. Believe in your ability to tackle and solve complex problems confidently. So here's me, roughly your age, back in the day. Just finished university. And like I said, it was, you're applying for jobs, you're getting nothing back. And it was a hard thing. So I thought, you know what, at the end of the day, I want to actually force myself into a situation. So I found a local nightclub in Southampton where I study, Southampton Solent. And I said, look, let me become your creative director. They went, yeah, cool. Like, what do you want to do? I said, I want to make this small club as big as Fabric. I want to make this like the best mini club in the world. But in order to do that, you have to like do some merch. You have to do like crazy posters that people collect and just really be a forward-thinking nightclub. And luckily, you know, that kind of set everything straight. And for me, that's when I realized that this is more than just ideas. This is more about building a brand and actually becoming the creative director of my own destiny. So there's a little snapshot of like, yeah, like literally 15 years of like different types of logos. And for me, the word Blup was something that I kind of made up, right? It means absolutely nothing, right? So the thing is, like when I used to graffiti, B-L-U-P were my favorite letters. I combined it and yeah, I trademarked it. So remember, trademark your names, guys, and actually launched with it. And for me, it was just like, thank God I did it on that drunken day when I was like well young. Spent every penny I had to trademark the name because now it's the thing that I own and the thing that's going to protect me moving forward. And when you have that protection, you feel confident moving forward. So remember that. So this is Blup 2.0. This is going to be the new vibe for next year. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But this is a new branding. We're just combining everything that we are together and creating that kind of like energy through the work. And Blup 2.0 is going to be the best thing that you guys ever seen. So keep an eye out on that.
Dance. Yeah, that's
is it rattling?
Keeps hitting on you.
Oh shit! There you go.
It's all right. There's just a mic.
Okay.
Yo, yeah, this is better. My man. Yeah, I feel like an MC now. That's better. Right, so yeah, so this is the journey from like 2015 through to 2016, 2018, down to 2020. So basically, this is the journey of like where I started. I used to actually try and go into coffee shops and pretend to buy like coffee because I couldn't really afford even to buy like food there, and just have a base to work to use their internet. And like I said, I started from the ground up. And in 2016, we had the vision. I said, look, we just have to have a space that we want to work in. So we found a little small little studio on Caledonian Road, and we just made it our home. And it just made it like a destination to go into, a destination to build. And in 2018, we upscaled it. And then 2020, we moved into Soho. But this is just a kind of a real snapshot of like the ambition just to really get from something to everything, right? And that was a dream. And then, yeah, being in Soho was incredible. So we want to develop a distinct style and work on creating a unique style or approach that sets you apart from others. So there's young Dines, but I wouldn't melt in his mouth. Look at him. And like, he was always into this kind of stuff, right? The cartoons, the color, the vibe, the energy. And for me, like growing up, this is the thing that made me happy. And I said to myself, and I promised myself, even when I was like young, trying to draw Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for my cousin to get free sweets, I said, I want to bring this energy into my work throughout my life. I started off as a graffiti artist legally, and I wanted to like make sure that, again, if I saw that perfect white space, I wanted to like put my stamp on everything. And for me, it was like my expression. It was just my joy. I got out of the graffiti game just before I got caught, you know what I mean? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to invest my time do things properly, go to university, and actually develop being a digital artist rather than doing something that was a little bit edge of the law. And thank God I did, because I couldn't look back. So when I was at university, again, when I was sitting in his audience, I was thinking, like, I don't need a job. I don't want a job because, like, I just don't like working for anyone, right? So I thought, you know what? Let me just sell some paintings online on eBay, and let's see how that goes. So yeah, I sold basically a shitload of like illustrations like this all over the world, and it was the best feeling. I would walk away per week with like 200 quid a week as a student. I'd just spend it on food and just like on booze and going out, and it was just a really good thing to think, okay, that's my entrepreneurial step into like actually trying to make my own money through my own time. It was amazing until I got negative feedback. One of it was like, obviously, it was bad packaging. It got crushed in the post. The other one was it was advertised to be on some like canvas, but it said it's on some vinyl. And when they said vinyl, it was actually a floor tile from the pound shop. For me, I was like, shit, like this negative like thing's gonna ruin my brand. But actually, in a way, I just stepped up the game and thought, let me improve the quality. Don't get complacent, and always make sure that when I'm delivering it, I want to hear feedback like that. And when his son loved the painting that I sent over to him, his son was in hospital, he sent him a painting, and you can see in capital letters that he absolutely loved it. So for me, that was like the early taste of like swapping your art, making people happy, but also the entrepreneurial spirit and doing things on your own, not sitting just in your hands, but also creating and making that entrepreneurial spirit. As I got a little more experience, my artwork started getting a bit more elaborate. You know, again, bringing in like the cartoon characters and bringing in that kind of graffiti element. But again, everything that I wanted to do was making sure it came from the heart. So every time I looked at the canvas, it was making me happy. When other people saw it, it made them happy as well. So when I was just growing up, it's a little snapshot of like when I was at university. So instead of doing coursework, I was doing coursework, just quickly doing it. I was like, you know what? Let me just try and experiment with different styles, because at the end of the day, like I've got infinite amount of time as a student. Like I could either just be sitting there playing like FIFA or just doing nothing, or actually just being in my room or sitting in the room with my laptop, just creating. And I thank God I did that, because from that early on, I just thought, let me just experiment and see what I'm going to do. So in the end, I then started designing for like local bars, local restaurants, and doing stuff that people wanted to see and collect and put on their wall. And for me, when I used to go to house parties, I used to see these things like in frames in other students' house. And for me, that was like so much reward that I was like, I can't stop doing this. This is a thing I love. This is like a classic thing I always put into all the talks. This is like the Renaissance. I get inspired by like all sorts of things, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about like how amazing a human being can do to create this type of artwork, right? So obviously I can't paint as good as that, but I thought, let me learn how to like remix my own thing. So taking something that I love and adore, chopping it up, and then making my own poster. And again, it's almost like feeling like you're building, you're chopping up, you're building like a little sculpture digitally, and then it makes you feel like it's yours, you know? So this was like the birth of the style. And like I said, I was a massive fan of Renaissance. So every time I used to go to the National Portrait Gallery or any art galleries, I was like, man, let me just go home and like find out the artist and remix it. I mean, I'll probably get done for copyright, but I'm not selling it. But at the end of the day, for me, it wasn't all about that. It's about taking a risk, having fun with it, and just creating every time. And then obviously moved into the animation, learned how to like do stuff on After Effects. And you know, now we've obviously got my team, my amazing Sarah, who put these animations together. And it's all about collaborating with the people that can do things properly. And like I said, it's all about creating the work that has loops, creating that energy, creating that vibe, and doing it again from the passion that you want to do. Here's some more Renaissance stuff, which is quite cool. So you've got to welcome the unknown. See the unknown as an opportunity for growth and approach it with eagerness and an open mind, all right? So every year, apart from this year, we've thrown a thing called Blup in London. So this was year one. So we just hired out a gallery in Soho, and we teamed up with a company called Hasbro, who look after Transformers, Nerf, all that stuff. And I pitched the idea to them, and I said, what about if you do a gallery that has a new thing called AR? And actually we can get our fans and families to come to this gallery and actually have fun with it. And this was our first chance to really like step out of our comfort zone and actually put on our own show. Then year 2, I thought, you know what, actually, like, this is a bit of a momentum. I think some of you have been to the Blup X, and we're going to do a massive one in September, by the way, next September. So we thought, you know what, we're going to take the artworks that we've done, turn these into NFTs at the time when they were massive, and actually do a massive like launch event for that. And it was a sick vibe, you know what I mean? It was just like, I had a sick DJ, like the lights were down low. This was in East London in the Truman Gallery, and it was all about just like having that energy, having that vibe, and doing something that a design agencies have never really done before, because at the end of the day, it's what me and Alex want to do. We just want to throw parties. We go to parties all the time, so let's bring it through the way we do it best. And then last year was volume 3, and this one was all about like data and insights. So we actually like then created these like crystals to show growth, and it was all about, you know, how young people shop, and there's loads of shop online. And then what we done was invite our clients from like Samsung, Nike, everywhere, to come and watch a live 360 presentation. And at the end of it, the lights went down low, and we just had a massive mashup as well. So like, it was good. Like, it was a bit of insight, bit serious at the beginning, and a bit of fun at the end. But all of it was like just incredible visuals. So, optimism as a catalyst. Keep a positive outlook, as optimism can often lead to more creative and innovative ideas. So, back in the day, I used to love, obviously, like Disney. And again, just like the Renaissance, I was like, how can I feel like I'm designing for Disney, right? So again, making these like modern bits of art, and just kind of, I call it the remix. Me and Derek have like many deep conversations about why I call things remix, because it's how things like music. You want to mash things up together and create your own style, create your own energy. So when I say it's the Blup remix, it's the Dines remix. It's all about just like doing things, molding it together, and actually remixing it out and showing it to the audience. So yeah, so people used to say to me, Dines, you're going to get in trouble by like using Disney imagery. I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't really care. And then one day, I did get an email from someone at Disney, and she said, have you got permission to use this? I went, oh, not really. She's like, okay, you're gonna have to take it down, but you can ask for a licensing deal. And I said, okay, and we just didn't take it down. So I thought, let me go to Disney and ask Mickey Mouse himself. And he said, yes, Dines, of course you can, brother. So I went wild. Just made apparel. But yeah, man. So yeah, but again, all this stuff was just like, it's a tricky one, because it's good that you guys saw that copyright talk at the beginning and trademark. We realized like if you're not making money from it, then I think it's okay. But because it was just like on display, and we made these t-shirts and we gave it out to like our fans, like I think that covered it. But again, it was just so fun making it. So I was just like, you know, just take the risk and I apologize later. Bad advice, but just sort of focus on the incremental process. Value the process of creation, taking it step by step rather than fixating only on the final goal. Yeah, deep in it. So here's a little behind the scenes bit of work that we did for Hyundai G7. It was like a electric car. But here's a little bit of a sort of taste of how like the mind works. So they gave us this car. They said, could you remix it? I was like, yeah, sweet. Let's do different like alterations and see what works. And, you know, how can I, you know, portray, portray a, like the element of speed and impact and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, I think I got that. I think I got it. Hopefully display, yeah. So here's the behind the scenes of like the 3D behind the scenes process. Again, working with my 3D team, just to say like, be free, be creative, but I want to make sure that, you know, you're creating that balance, that harmony. So when people see it, they remember it forever, all right? And there's a little vector logo down there that we developed as well it says G70. So just a little bit of custom typeface, which I designed. And then here is the final result of both of the campaigns. God damn, that bass is hard, isn't it? So yeah, that was a car advert, which is mad. And it kind of went viral. Loads of eyes went on it. So it's kind of rewarding, like, when you see your work actually picking up those numbers within the first like couple of weeks, because it just shows your work connects. So yeah, more of that to sort of come next year. So yeah, a little bit of like artwork. So this is for Soccer Bible back in the day, and this what really kick-started off, like, I think the Studio Blup era. So I designed this remix here of like a number 5 for Zinedine Zidane, one of my greatest ever footballers in the world, for one of the biggest Soccer Bible magazines. We've done the front cover, limited edition, like collection item here. But in the middle was like these like posters, and everyone was like, "Whoa, this is sick!" And I was like, "Oh, okay." But luckily, I recorded my screen, and thank God I did, because obviously this is old school. But it kind of like showed the process of how that 5 was made.
Don't do laundry, I just wash grands. Told them violate the set. I smoke teams like Rothmans. What? I was a lost child until I read books on Rothschild. They can't wait till the papers crack up. They don't want to see me go buck wild.
Fire and smoke, I'll ban out your wig. Come right near, get run out the bits of 100 junglers surround the whip. Karate kid. They wanna hate cause what my ken and the bad my antics ain't working. Catch a YouTube bad boy, let's have it. I don't wanna hear man say hate him. Came in the game like boom, boom. German whips with me, cruise. If you wanna talk all I have my boat, you're gonna get sky like an effing balloon. A lot of DJs weren't paying my tunes.
Don't do laundry, I just wash grands.
Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of like little behind the scenes. But yeah, as you can see, it was like taking something as basic as like number 5 and just adding your own element to it. And like when I design, I'm designing on a touchpad, so it feels like I'm building something via the screen. And that was a conscious decision. I think early on in my career, I could use a stylus, I could use a mouse, but I decided the touchpad on the laptop or the touchpad on the computer was for me to feel like I'm sculpting something. And that was a kind of yeah, that's kind of like a little thing that I just kind of carried on with. And they used to call me Touchpad D. Didn't stick, but yeah, and that's sort of carried on that for the rest of my kind of career. But anyway, so we're going to learn from our mistakes, right? So view each mistake as a learning opportunity, understanding that each error brings you closer to perfection. So learning from my mistakes, do stuff like this at the amazing Ravensbourne. So yeah, me and Derek were planning a little something, but we go into like universities and stuff, and kind of like I want to teach like the young talent all the mistakes that I did and try not to make that mistake. And I think it's like giving back to the opportunities that I never really had as a student growing up. I felt alone. Like the tutors didn't know what to do with me or the style. I was constantly just saying like, no, you're not going to get good marks. And like, it wasn't really nurturing me. No one taught me how to like network. No one taught me how to like have confidence when I go into a meeting. So I had to learn this all myself. So when I learned that, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to teach others. And then that's when we have our like one-on-one sessions and stuff. I went to like my old little primary school here and taught them the word blup. And they were going home saying blup, 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 blup all day to their parents. And I was like, okay, cool. Get them in young. Yeah. There's the boy Derek. Where is he? My man. So like this is like the most like, iconic thing that we've ever done. So if you ever had a chance to like check this out, digital storytelling, but we recorded like a little wicked conversation. And yeah, we've had quite a few like downloads and that stuff like that. I like showing this picture and all the talks that we do because I feel like Derek is by my side every time I go around the world talking. So yeah. So sign up. So yeah, and also as well, learn from mistakes, doing digital, like having chats with like Instagrams, big blogs, podcasts. Can't wait to jump on your ones very soon. But again, it's all about the story. It's all about giving those gems of just how you can do it, how to hack, and like the inspiration behind what me and Alex created from basically nothing. So I like to spread the message, keep it nice and lighthearted. And it's quite good actually. I mean, look quite young there and stuff. That's good. That's good. Right. So commit to daily improvement. Remember, guys, make a habit of continuously improving yourself and your ideas every day. So I'd like to chuck this in. This is all about the Dines. I'm going to change it actually. The Dines meditation process. So as creatives or like people just in the industry, especially you guys studying, you have to like clear that mind because you're going to have other stuff in life that's actually going to stop you from progressing. You're going to feel sad, you're going to feel anxiety, you're going to feel jealous. Like you can get rid of that by simply having time to breathe, silence the mind, and tidy up the clutter. And when you can learn how to do that, like from Monday to Friday, 10 minutes a day, I promise you guys, like the meditation process will actually allow you to just achieve bigger goals, bigger things, and actually vision where you want to be. So that's something I wish I learned earlier on. But I've been doing it for like about 3 years now, and like obviously my output's just been absolutely astronomical because I now can have time to focus and just keep things simple. Resilience in creativity. Build your ability to bounce back from setbacks, using them as creative fuel. So Team GB, like obviously everyone knows Team GB, it was like, you know what, let's go in for a pitch. And let's try and like actually create these like digital assets and just like, you know, for the Winter Olympics. I was like, okay, team, like what can we do to like win this pitch? So we just thought, you know what, let's just do this. Let's take the risk. Let's invest some time into it. We pitched it and we lost to like a bigger agency. It's annoying. And it's normally like the bigger agencies that probably just hire us to do the work anyway. So I was like, you know what, like, okay, I'm not going to take no for an answer. So let us create our own thing. So I was like, you know what, this is what they're going to miss out on. And so we sat down, was like, okay, if Blup had a winter sports and winter games, what should we do? So like we developed this like kind of little storyboard and created our own kind of take. So yeah, so that's what I thought, you know what, put matters into our own hands, let's launch it, let's release it. The next minute, they were knocking on our door and they want us to work on the Paris Olympics 2024. And that's how it works, people. That's how it works. So persistence pays off. So keep pushing forward with your ideas, even in the face of obstacles. So I've said this before many times, if you're in a creative field or any kind of like business, you have to create concepts to get the attention. So we created fake records, put it out on the gram, send it out to all our friends on like WhatsApp, anyone at the record labels. And then next minute you're getting a call to rebrand DJs and stuff and doing album covers with like big record labels. But at the end of the day, it's always about being proactive and doing the work that you actually want to do and actually doing the things that you've dreamed of doing one day. So like, yeah, Ushuaia, biggest club in Ibiza, and you got the logo and the branding right there for a DJ called Saint. And many other stuff coming out of the line. But again, if you want to work in the music industry or you work in like the fashion or whatever, you do your thing. Magazine covers. I thought, you know what, let's just remix a couple of magazine covers and actually like get iconic magazines and actually just putting a bit of like the Blup spin to it and actually getting more attention because you're actually like going out to like the fashion hairs, you're doing that to like the editorials, but also creating your own artwork. Look, we did our own cover for like Complex. It was like just an image that we remixed. And then in 2016 and then 2023, we end up working with Kylie Jenner for a lot of her stuff for her new product line. And we created a digital world via the mobile app. And it kind of shows like, if you're just persistent, like the people are eventually going to see it. And when the people see it, they're going to knock on the door. And then again, you're just creating iconic pieces. But again, it takes hard work. Oh, there's a little snapshot. So again, I want to be at New Era, I want to be at Nike, I want to be in Chelsea, BBC, Sony Music. It's like you just all of a sudden you find yourself in these like little spots. You're like, whoa, how the hell did I get here? And the only way you did it is through persistence and consistency. All right. And then obviously because I was producing work every week, like I said, making 1,000 pieces of work, you're going to get someone in the industry to give you a call, give you an email and say, swing by, let's have a chat about a project. So again, that's how you get your work seen. So you've got to showcase your talents and don't hesitate to put your work out there. Visibility is key to getting noticed. Iconic picture. So in 2015 or 2016, I went to Paris. I spent 19 hours on a coach to Paris. And it cost me £60 because I couldn't even afford to like get a plane. But everything I needed to do, I went to a festival called Off in Paris. And I said to my boy that one day I want to be on stage. And he turned around and said, no, you know, I went, yeah, trust me, give me a year. Like, let me just work hard to like one day deserve to be on that stage. So I set my targets, I set my goal. I emailed the event organizer and I said, like, can I be on your stage? He said, no reply. So, damn, I got pied off. So I was like, you know what? I want to keep going until he notices me. Then one day I get a call from email at Blue and said, we'd love for you to speak at Paris, like 2 years later. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because again, I put the work in. And the guy who said no, my boy Darren, I said, come join me on stage, bro. You know what I mean? Let's do a little talk together. And he was buzzing, look at his little face. She was buzzing as well, little face as well. And yeah, we just like, had fun as well. And that, for me, that was like, and I was handing out 3 posters. I was like, you know what? Let's make this a thing. And millions of miles later, we're talking all over the world, Paris, Dubai, Saudi, New York, LA, all that stuff, Belgium. And just having well good fun with it again, and just like keeping that vibe, keeping that energy and inspiring people. But again, this came from just having that dream to actually spread the message. So hopefully I'll see you guys on the stage very soon in Paris. So let's fuel passion with motivation. Let your inner passions drive your creative process, making your work more authentic and engaging. All right. So during COVID, the bad time, watched this documentary, Michael Jordan. Create some artwork because he inspired me. I was feeling quite dark, so I was like, did like skulls. I couldn't go on holiday, so I put barbed wire around these inflatables, and I was, you know, because that's the mood that everyone was in, right? And then my kind of mood and my design started getting a bit like edgy because I was reflecting in the kind of darker days. But at the same time, it means I was expanding my creative process and affecting my way I was working behind the scenes. And as you can see, just design started maturing from doing like the Disney characters and the fun bits to like the more kind of abstract art. Because I thought, if I appreciate the Renaissance, one day hopefully someone would appreciate the abstract dines. And I just thought, let me just keep remixing this, doing different subjects. Let's look at sports, let's look at music, let's look at fashion shows. When the Louis Vuitton show came out, I thought, you know what, let me just remix something that's actual general topic, release it on Instagram, and obviously when you hashtag it, it's top of the pile and people will see it. So it's all about that marketing, it's all about that delivery as well. Derek, all right for time? You want to hear more, yeah, guys? All good? Yeah, sick. So I ain't got long left. So yeah, again, just like creating power, creating like Naomi Campbell. Look, again, this is just a found image, right? And I thought, you know what, like I love this image so much, but like, how can I make it how can I put my own spin to it? And that's the general story of everything here. We're going to release like our clothing line as well, and it's just like, you know, we're going to have like a thing called Blup Play apparel. But again, I was going to say a couple of slides later, but dipping into like different areas, but actually doing lookbooks the way that I want to do it. Because then again, the conversation is going to be like, can you do a lookbook? And have you got any experience? I said, yeah, like our own product. So you've got to keep finding these niches, keep visioning the work that you want to do, and then in the style that you want to do. And this was for the Yeezy Season 9 remix that we sent out. Unfortunately, that didn't get used. But again, I just want to show you something that I'll probably get in trouble for showing it, but fuck it. And then, yeah, like evolving into a lot of you guys from, how many of you from like motion classes or, yeah. 3 people, that's good. But yeah, just like sort of bringing in like the 3D elements into like the work, right? And using this kind of this structure, but then making it 3-dimensional. And again, just evolving the design process more and more. What's this one? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So yeah, recently, long story short, like there's been a bit of like a creative block because running an agency, working with like big clients, at the end of the day, there needs to be a bottom line, right? You have to make money to keep the lights on, basically. But at the same time, when you're so busy doing client work, you lack the time to create and innovate. And that really bothered me. And Studio Blup is about innovating and pushing things to the boundary. And so we got acquired and we sold our company 3 years ago. And we sold 50% of the company. But when you sell a company, you've got other people to answer to. And, you know, they're chasing you and saying, how come you're not making this much amount of money? You know, keep pushing the sales lines, you know, let's get anything else in to like get. I was like, fuck this, man, like, no way. So I thought, you know what? let's buy ourselves back. So the deal got completed like 2 weeks ago, and we're just free again, and we can just do what we want when we want. And it ain't all about the exit. It's about building a company to build legacy. It's all about building the thing that you want to do, the thing that you dreamt of, and don't give that away to anyone. So we just celebrated by like creating just like some assets, mixing visuals with sounds, just bringing that art back again, and just doing the things that we love, bringing like doing cartoon characters, Astro Boy, into it, and just being happy again. It just reflects the mood that we're currently in. There's a couple more on the. There you go. Yeah, so like, it's a weird one because like a lot of the stuff is like obviously just like abstract. It's like what the fuck? Like, what is that? Good. At least you have an opinion, right? And that's the whole thing. Like, you know, it's tapping into the part of your mind and the brain to actually create something that hopefully no one's ever seen before and inspires the next creative to create their own thing. And that's the thing that drives me. They say, oh, what about copycats? Don't you care about people copying you? No, that's the whole point. Like, I want people to like actually try and figure out how we did it and actually create their own stuff. And hopefully that becomes like the next big artist. Anyway, so focus on your loves and spend time, spend time on ideas and projects that truly resonate with you, as this will reflect in the quality and originality of your work. So I'm gonna quickly skip through these slides. So little Dines again, loved his trainers back in the day, always a massive crep head from young, creating these like little posters, loved it, the yellow in it, Pikachu, SpongeBob, all that stuff. Dragon Ball Z, who likes Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, sick in it. So you ain't seeing it, I loved it. Again, tapping into obviously the happy place and creating these like remix and send and just having them as a free download so people can download, put it on a wall. Again, remixing cartoon characters but again, just getting back into that happy space again. Crepes, obviously trainers, just remixing those. At a time, like I couldn't afford sneakers, and I was like, how do I make these sneakers a reality? How do I feel like I'm building my own, like have these trainers? I thought the only way is find high-res images, remix it, so I feel like it's part of me, and just praying one day that I could afford these shoes and like, you know, get it sent to me for free, which it did. And then Nike and JD came knocking on the door and said, could you create a remix for our Nike campaign? Anyway, you can see that on the Instagram. And then here's like the bits for the story, so it's cool. And then the day I got like a free trainer, and I thought, you know what, that's how you do it, wicked. And then a few remixes for Nike, doing like augmented reality stuff. And then actually, like, yeah, this is before AR was a thing. How do you put like a Blup sculpture in the middle of your room? And like we created that, it was amazing. And then like we thought, you know what, let's do like a little hologram, build it out so it looks like it's floating in the middle of the air. Yeah, we got commissioned to do like a little solar exhibition to display these remixes, but in a holographic Star Wars style. Here's like another thing that we've done with turn this thing into 3D. I thought, okay, how do I make it into product and like give it out to people who buy it? And I thought there's a nice little protest, like, you know, doing something 3D but creating sculptures. I did, in a way, it kind of like said to myself, you got to make your mark, right? And you look for ways to leave your lasting impression in your field, whether through innovation, style, or impact. So this is a good one. We're launching Blup Academy. Again, this is like very like passionate to my heart. We're doing like online courses, we're doing tutorials, we're doing like loads of like amazing things. Just like I said, make sure that you got your guys' mindset is in the right place. So when you leave university or you want to create, we have all the information there. And obviously we're going to team up Rave is Born, especially Derek as well, to create some amazing courses. And if you're lucky and we select you, you're going to be like in the Blup 50, which we give you opportunities to collaborate and stuff. And it's a good chance, you know, we want to like just give back to our fans and the people that love us, and just give them a platform to kind of collaborate with us. So if you're up for it, just make sure you send a message to hello@studioblup.com and just put like Yo Dines with your name, and a link to your portfolio. And when we're ready to launch this, we'll give you like a little free access to the Blup Academy. So don't forget to do that. We've got our Blup magazines coming out. This was like 2021, but we're going to do this every year. We're launching our apparel. So this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the new range. So we're going big on this one. So we can't wait to like show you that. This was our limited edition off t-shirts that we'd made. But again, just tapping into like different things. Like we're creating our own merch without people telling us no. So if I'm going to create this, like no one's going to tell me no. So I'm just going to create what we want to do, put the logo in a different position. And when we sold it, when we went to Off Barcelona, the biggest design festival, they sold out in half a day, which was like, wow, this is like amazing. So we're going to create in our 3D Blup world very, very soon. So it's an interactive world. You walk into the Blup world, you can buy products, you can buy a load of stuff for it. And this is our virtual gallery that we're going to have. But again, you can like interact. It was going to be the metaverse, but that's old school now. So we're just going to keep it simple, and then make it like a nice three-dimensional e-commerce store. Little Blup is going to be launched. I thought, fuck it, I've got a child, I've got a kid now, so I was like, let me go to like kid stuff. So we're speaking to like a few production studios to make Lil Blup a thing. We're gonna have little action figures going, but he's also a model for our new Blup range as well. So yeah, like I said, just now we're independent and like no one can tell me what to do. I can just make a little mouse thing and no one can question it, which is amazing. We're doing candles, so your house can smell like Studio Blup, fresh. You can do like skins for the cars, jewelry. Got Blup wine was pending, but we had to cancel that last minute. And then obviously homeware and stuff as well. So lastly, I always keep this in, but do good, be good. And it's all about just kind of like using your talent to raise money for certain things. So that when Black Lives Matter happened, we used we want to raise money the way we know how and do a limited edition merch and make sure that's sold to everyone. We raised $2,500 for Savvy Charity, who specialise in equality and injustice for people that's been prosecuted. We raised over 127,000 with Minds. Mind Charity with DJ EZ. So we sponsored it and he did a 24-hour live stream, which is sick. It was only me, him and his manager, and this live stream was sick. And that was sponsored by Defected as well. We did for Teenage Cancer Trust. They asked Dines to be featured alongside Stormzy, Bjork, some big names there. And this was like displayed at the Maddox Gallery, like signed. And yeah, I think that's piece sold for like 12K. And it raised money for Teenage Cancer Trust. So like really proud of that. And again, we just start throughout the time, just raising money for like just good causes, and just keeping it local. You know, sponsoring a local team when it was in Southampton, and really giving back, and just making sure this guy has the Blup energy and feels nice wearing a Studio Blup in it. He's got his hopefully we get him on as an internship at Blup. But 2024, it's time. So, like I said, Blup workshops, live tutorials, online courses, Blup podcasts, more live talks worldwide, Blup exhibition volume 4, and we have the Blup Academy Awards. So, lastly, remember this, guys: be unreasonable and be uncomfortable. Your time is now. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Was that on time, Eddie?
Dead on 9. Well, we've overrun massively, to be honest with you. But everyone's overrun, so it's good. And I overran. So we were going to get everyone up on stage now. But I'm aware we've overrun a little bit. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want us to end now, or do you want time for questions? Questions. Brilliant.
Q&A.
Right,
Q&A is the best bit.
So can we have all of the speakers up on stage, please? Yeah, do you want? I could give one of them this actually.
Cheers.
Was that fun? Yeah. Good. Any questions, just let us know. We'll try and answer as honest as we can, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, everyone. So I'm going to be running around with a microphone. And don't forget, we've got some merch, some Brinkworth merch for the kind of most penetrating questions. You say that? The most penetrating questions.
Derek.
Not the most difficult, but the most incisive questions. So if you've got a question, just put your hand up and I'll come and find you. Oh, okay.
You can ask anything you want.
Okay, I'm going to go to the lady first.
So my question's for Claire. What would you say your key is to creating a successful podcast that engages the audience to tune in to listen?
I think for me, it's having a central theme. It's all about their life in design, basically, of how they got into it in the first place, and repeating that over and over. Other people have got other things that work, but for me, that really works. The regularity of it, it's just, it drops at 11 a.m. every Thursday for 10 weeks, and people expect it. That works really well. I mean, that's it really. I think it's it's trying to change things. It's trying to make things better. It's trying to make things more diverse. It's trying to get different types of people into design and raise the profile of it. So I think people want to be involved. It's a good thing to do.
And do you think posting at a certain time, so for you, 11 a.m. works with your audience? Do you think there's better times in the week that bring in more traction to gain a wider audience?
We did a bit of research into the best time to post, the best time to actually release them, and Thursday morning came up, so that's when it goes out.
Amazing.
I've not done that much more research into it, but it works. So it's
For sure. No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brilliant question. So down at the front here, loads of questions. I love that.
I got a question for Dines. So seeing your bit you done for the Olympic team, like it just flowed really well. The movement was nice. So I wanted to ask, how do you get like such natural movement, like for the jacket, where it looked like it was an actual person walking around?
Yeah. So what's your name, brother?
Daniel.
Daniel, yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel, good question. Yeah, bro. It's honestly about just keeping it simple, keeping it as real as possible, but also like trying to add the abstract element to like remove the imperfections of it, so you're distracted by how like weird it is. And that's always been the philosophy, right? So obviously making sure that you study the way people move, or how things fall naturally, that comes after time. And then even if it's not natural, it's still something. And if it's a bit jittery or a bit out of time, it's your style, isn't it? So just got to make sure it's consistent, and making sure you're learning how to like make things move fluidly. But we even like motion blur and stuff like that. Just look how things fall naturally. So then when you're designing it, it happens perfectly. All right. So just keep it simple.
Thank you.
That's what Daniel, you're catching.
Can I just say that it's the ground gold that we've got here. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah. Look at that, the yellow.
It's going to look good on Creative Lab, at Creative Lab London.
Okay.
More questions? Okay.
Hello, this is for Dines. I wanted to ask, so when you got rejected, how did you pick yourself up from that? And how did you go about with like constructive criticism?
Amazing. What's your name?
Megan.
Megan, good question, Megan. So Megan, yeah, basically, I have a philosophy, and sorry, Mum and Derek, I'm gonna swear again. It's the fuck it attitude, and I think it's almost like, look, if I'm gonna get rejected or things happen, you think in your head, fuck it, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's always gonna make you better to face rejection. It gives you thicker skin. If things start flowing too easy, you get complacent and you can't innovate, you can't push through that barrier. Instead of feeling down about it, just figure out, how can I fix it? What can I do next time to improve myself? And then at the end of the day, it's just like, you tell yourself, yeah, fuck it, let me just try again. So when you saw like the Olympic stuff, I was just like, okay, we got rejected. Fuck it, let me just create something that blows them away. And next minute you get a knock on the door and say, can you do something again? So remember what Diane said, it's the fuck it attitude, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
All right, and did you ever find that rejection changed your style at all?
Rejection changed myself.
Did you find that like rejection changed your style at all?
No, so it's quite a stubborn thing. So with a style, it's almost like you're shouting from the rooftops, be like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And then it gets attention, and then it gets you the conversation. And then you can work your way back down to actually working towards what the client like wants. Now, if I was releasing just like normal client work, then we wouldn't be anywhere, because it's so watered down and it's just boring. So that's why I spend time with the team to create stuff that's different, to stand out, to get the attention, to have the conversation. And then because people know it's a Blup, people know it's a Blup. And then that's how we build the brand for our work.
All right, thank you so much.
Amazing
Brilliant.
question.
Thank
Awesome,
you.
Megan.
That's such good advice.
Do you think that's a t-shirt, maybe?
I might trademark it. Where's
Here you go.
Hey, go on, girl. Good question. Well done. give him your shirt.
Hey, it's kind of open to everybody, but when it comes to sort of trying to leave uni, and I'm sure there's other people in the room that also maybe trying to freelance themselves, people know that you're a student, or maybe you haven't got this huge following, and people are gonna try to undercharge you, but at the same time you don't want to lose that client because you don't have so many. And how do you sort of find that balance of making sure you're being paid enough, but you're not, turning away clients because of price?
I think it is really hard, and there's a reason why generally people who thrive in these kinds of environments are ones who can like eat that cost. This is exactly why. I think it's really important if you're going to be in this kind of freelance environment to understand what that means structurally, because structurally freelancers usually don't have the same sort of protections that a full-time employee has, right? Like you don't get your pension, you don't get all this kind of benefit side of it, unless you've negotiated it really well. But typically you don't. So I think obviously try and negotiate as well as you can for yourself, but there's also a lot of different types of like freelancer unions you can join as well. And those are really, really great, especially because like one of the biggest problems that freelancers have is like getting paid on time and, getting your invoices back and things like that. And if you're doing it by yourself, that's really hard to like make sure you're actually getting that and that you're able to sustain yourself. Whereas if you have the backing of something like a freelancers union, you'll have legal support, you'll have advice, you'll have like a network of people in the same situation as you who have probably been through exactly the same thing and will be able to support you. So yeah, my advice to freelancers is the same as my advice to all workers, which is find a good union.
Now we can do the next one. Actually, we'll speak after, mate.
Cool. Got another question. Young man at the front here.
Thank you. Following on from that, in terms of freelancing and going to the three of you, how did you, have you experienced burnout? And also, how do you protect your mental health as a freelancer in that space where it's go, 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 and constantly trying to find work and trying to sort of, in the initial stages, be treading water before you're as successful as the three of you are?
God, I think it's really hard. I think I used to freelance before I set up Red Setter as a marketing consultant to design agencies. And it is just really hard. I didn't put enough effort into that at all, and didn't focus on my mental health, and just was really stressed all the time and went out all the time and ended up drinking too much and all that kind of stuff. Since then and now I make a real huge effort. It still goes up and down a little bit, huge effort to do meditation every day, and most days I try and do it every day. Try and make time for myself. When I feel it spinning out of control, I can recognize it, calm it all down again. Meditation's the main way that I try and make time for myself.
What's your name, brother? Ahmed, yes, Ahmed. So Ahmed, yeah, it's a hard one. And I would first of all start off by getting on all your socials and unfollowing those people that make you feel inferior.
Yes.
Honestly, bruv, stop following friends, stop following people that is making it, and just follow things that inspires you. So even when you're on TikTok, your algorithm should be like they do in China, just inspiration, not just things that make you feel like you're being left behind. Yeah. So when I wake up in the morning and I'm going on Instagram, I'm seeing the latest news in the industry. I'm seeing people that's innovating. I'm seeing people that's having good deep chats. I'm seeing some of Claire's stuff as well. And it's things that fuel me, and I don't feel left behind. I feel like, okay, this is the things that are going to push me to be featured on here. And in terms of like mental health, but like, what do you do? You create editing, yeah? Sick. So like, I realized at a time when I stopped creating, I felt down. And because being a creative, you have to like do something every day because that's who you are. And even if you're doing like a sketch or something, or just like creating, that's your core that you're maintaining, and that then affects your health. You eat right, you go gym, you do things, you see your friends, you see your family, you feel love, yeah, and that will stop you from getting burnout. So when you're editing, you do your own shit on the side, yeah, you edit your own thing, so then you're proud of it, and then you put it out there, and people will think, whoa, that's sick, and that praise will move you to the next level and change your world. I promise you. But set yourself a challenge, one a week. That's what.
Great. More questions.
Could I talk to that one as well? Because
Yeah,
I think
sorry.
I actually have to build on this because I think that's everything that you just mentioned is almost like a different universe version of how I come at it as well. And I think a really good way to think about this is try to find non-commodified space in your life, because right now finding non-commodified space is like next to impossible. Like think about literal space. Think about how you engage with cities. How many places can you go and you not have to buy something? Like very, very few. Even your attention when you're relaxing through social media is commodified, right? Like that is now clicks to now make revenue. So one thing that I think is really valuable and something that you'll get through family, through raw creativity, through religion or community organizing or whatever, is you will find non-commodified space. And that I really like cannot stress enough is like so vital on a spiritual level, because we really shouldn't be living lives where like every ounce of every second of every bit of energy we have is being squeezed for surplus value, and yet that's where we are. So trying to find areas of non-commodified space, but also trying to build them for yourself is of primary importance.
Great. I'm glad we waited for that answer. That's a good one. Right.
I've got a question for Dines. You briefly brought up earlier that you were planning on doing like a clothing line. Clothing. I was just kind of curious, what was the process in like setting that up, like finding people to produce the clothes and stuff like that. I was wondering if you could give me a breakdown of just like the process of how that came to be.
Yeah, sick. What's your name, bro?
Alex.
It's Alex. So you start simple, right? So it's okay, like so you start off well cheap, right? And you give away for free like Derek just did, right? So you can go onto like so many like printing services, right? And just put your logo on it, right? And then when you print that design, you just invest that 60 quid that you get for like 100 t-shirts, whatever, and you're going to hand that out to all your friends and all your families, right? And then when they wear it, it's like a superpower because like they're wearing a part of you on them. Now, for them to respect your brand, you have to be creating the shit, and you need to be like inspiring them. So when they feel like they're wearing your t-shirt, they're wearing you. They're inspired by you. It's not about the name of the brand. The reason why you're wearing a Cortège hat is because the founder is connected to the audience. It's all about what the founder is that then makes you want to wear his shit. All right. So then you start simple, you hand it out for free, you build your fan base, and all of a sudden people are saying, where did you get that from? And then you just got to keep going and having fun with it. But yeah, clothing is a hard thing to do. But at the same time, it's so rewarding when you're just walking around randomly, you see someone that you don't even know wearing a Blup t-shirt. It's mad. It's a mad experience. But yeah, it's so rewarding, bro.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Alice, you can ask me after.
I have a question to Claire. I was just interested in terms of like podcasting. I know that before you, especially when you're interviewing a person, it requires some sort of preparation and research. But what if it happens that the conversation takes some, interested and extractive path, would you still stick to the scenario, like the research that you've done, or, go with the flow? Yeah.
Totally go with the flow. Yeah, I always try and prep and learn as much as possible beforehand. And when I first started doing this, I had a list of like 10 questions and tried to stick to those 10 questions and kind of had them as a sort of safety net, but they always get blown out of the water. Even now, like 40 podcasts in, when I interview people, I still have those questions with me, but never look at them. And I start off with one or two and then just see where it goes, basically. It's good to have it as a safety net, but yeah, just you can't keep tying people back to your agenda. You need to just go with what they want to do.
She's a superstar.
So you.
We're going to have two more questions. So we're going to be one at the front, one at the back.
This is a question to Charlie. I just want to know what's your what economic theorem do you follow? Because you seem to not be a big fan of capitalism. Like you seem like more of a.
What gave it away?
Yeah. A lot gave it away. I'm not gonna lie. So I just want to know what type of damn, I don't know how to say it, but economic.
What's the
theory do you
alternative?
follow
Right.
to?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This could be an entirely separate talk, but I won't make it one. Basically, all major economic ideologies that we are used to hearing about are rooted in a 20th century understanding of how the world works, right? They're rooted in an understanding of the world which takes things like climate and ecology and sees them as externalities, right? So they are not included in the calculus of societal decision making. What many inspiring and incredible people now, like Jason Hickel, Kate Rayworth, and many others that I can share with you after this maybe, are talking about are models which take these things like planetary boundaries, climate, biodiversity, et cetera, and works towards a model in which these are not externalities anymore. So to give you just one example, this isn't the only option, there's many ways of seeing this, but to give you one example, there's a model that an economist called Kate Rayworth has developed called donut economics. And essentially, the idea of this is that it's an alternative to GDP. So rather than chasing this kind of quite ludicrous pursuit of exponential growth, it instead looks at the economy as balancing two things: a social foundation of human need and planetary boundaries of an ecological ceiling. And it's not just an idea, it's being rolled out in Melbourne, it's being rolled out in Amsterdam. So it is being put into practice in a lot of different places, but yeah, it's something that's quite new. This idea of how to shift 21st century economics is obviously in its sort of infancy as kind of a mainstream concept. But the fact that we're starting to hear things like a just transition referred to in mainstream spaces now is signs that it's working, I think. So I am encouraged that we are identifying these kinds of alternatives and we are starting to work towards them.
That answer your
Charlie for
question?
PM. I'll vote for you, mate. Fucking hell.
Me too.
That's clever, man. Magic. Love that.
These guys are going to be around, well, I hope you're going to be around for another 10, 15 minutes. So if you didn't get a chance to ask a question, jump on. I'm sure Diane's asked.
I'm here for everyone.
So all of you are very driven, ambitious people. My question is, how do you keep that ambition up? How do you fight against demotivation? And what are some strategies you use to get what you want and get to where you want to be?
That's a good question. What's your name?
I'm Saranya.
Saranya? Oh, wicked name, man. Well, it's exotic. So yeah, to like ambition. So I've got 10M tattooed on my wrist. That represents 10 mil. And at first I was like, how do I make 10 million pound? I was like, nah, let me just spin it around. It's like, how do I inspire 10 million? How do I change 10 million people's lives? How do I just take things astronomical? So when I look at that risk, it motivates me to like have that end goal. And when I have that end goal every day, I have a purpose. So I'm like, okay, what's the next steps? What do I need to do to get onto that next step to actually change 10 million people's life, whatever it is going to end up being. And I think it will probably never come, but at least the focus is there. So when I do have those like down days, now, like I said, now I'm a dad as well. My ambitions have changed. The priorities have changed. Now I have to create a legacy to give something back to my son. Now I'm doing everything for him, whereas before I was doing it for like myself. And that's the thing as well. Like as you get older, Derek, you know, like you've got other things that kind of shift your mindset, and you're doing it for different purposes. And the best thing is like understanding what your purpose is. And when you find out what your purpose is, just through deep thinking, connecting with family, and understand why you're doing what you're doing, that's the motivation, that's the ambition to make sure you get to the top, to achieve these things, to never let these people down in your life.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I was going to say, I like learning all the time, and I like learning loads of new things, and that's generally what pushes me forward to do other things. I get in touch with new design agencies because they're doing stuff that's really cool. So like, one of my favorite things about working in design is everything in the world touches on design. You could be interested in politics and it's got design behind it. You could be interested in, I don't know, consumer goods in the supermarket and it's all got design behind it. Every business in the world, most businesses in the world need design. So you can just find out about everything. So it kind of pushes me on to learn more and more. One of the reasons I started the podcast was just that sort of really being intrigued about how people did it and how people got into it and where it all came from. Just general extreme nosiness, maybe, that kind of thing, basically. But yeah, that's what drives me.
I think a good way to hold it in your mind is that there's kind of like an intrinsic motivation and an extrinsic one. So your intrinsic one is kind of like, what is the like fire that you're connecting to keep the work and keep pushing where you're going. And everyone, I think, is going to have a different like origin point of that. Like for me, it's like my family being from Downham, Lewisham, South London, and a lot of the things I talk about at a systems level, growing up with those being played out in real time in your life in terms of like, housing insecurity of your neighbors, things like this, it not being abstract at all. So for me, that's where that like internal drive and fire comes from, is that, that origin point and bringing that into the work that I'm trying to do today. And then I think if you just have that, then that's how you get to burnout. That's how you get to like not being able to do this kind of work justice anymore. So the extrinsic stuff comes in through others, and in particular creating spaces of like community solidarity. For me, that's through like a lot of the community organizing I do. That's through going on protests. That's through like labor organizing, unions, things like this. Again, it connects to that idea of the non-commodified space as well. Like find a place where you and others are for no other reason that you want to be there. And that I think is incredibly effective for like preserving that kind of like inner fire or whatever that is that's keeping you going internally.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant. I think that's a good point to leave it at, actually.
We've got one more over there.
No.
Go on, Derek. Go on. Who wants one more question?
Okay, one more. It's always one more, man.
It's Rave's late.
I didn't realise it was this one.
This question is for Dines. What advice would you tell someone who wants to start a business on their own?
Wicked question. What's your name again?
Jade.
Jade. Wicked Jade. Nice. Okay, so you're gonna all start today. All right, you're gonna find a name. You're gonna try and trademark it. All right, you're gonna listen to a load of podcasts. Right, you're gonna learn about the economy, and you're gonna learn everything about the industry that you're gonna want to be in. All right, before you even like announce it to anyone. A chef always prepares his stuff before he serves it up. Right, at the minute you're prepping. Right, get that fire in your belly, get that research in, understand your market to the T, get everything ready, and just launch. All right. It's hard. You're gonna have to do multiple things. You're gonna have to start off cheap. You're gonna have to start off making zero money. But the key is you've got a room full of talent here. Get to know every single one of these people. And then the collaborations will start, the introductions will start, and you build your network. And it's only for your network is where you start making moves, money, right? And then you build a brand. And remember the top ambition, one day, you have that one thing that you want to achieve, make it so hard that you can't get it, that you're aiming for that, right? And you print it out, put it next to your bed, and you're like, I'm gonna get there one day. And that's how you do it. That's all right.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah?
I think it's one thing as well as, it sounds like really silly advice, but just do it, like actually doing it. There's a famous quote out there for someone saying like 70% of success is just turning up. Don't second guess yourself all the time, just actually set the company up, start doing it, start contacting people, doing a bit of sales, and actually just making it happen.
I say as well, just quickly on that, that's a really good point, Claire. It's about selling, right? So you have to convince someone that your idea is the best idea, right? And you got to learn and understand what is it that makes that person want to buy from you. You understand about money, you understand how to price yourself, and you understand how to put money aside to reinvest back into your business. Like when I got a coach to Paris, that was every bit of every penny I had every penny I spent to get on that coach to make sure that I'm at the biggest design festival to one day change my career. That's how you do it as well. That's good.
Yeah, good advice.
Brilliant. That definitely is the end now. I suppose, first of all, you've been a really brilliant audience, and these questions, do you know what? I've worked at other universities. I used to work at a kind of Russell Group university, right? I used to put on nights like this, no one asked any questions. You know, like too worried and frightened and, you know, like thinking about their grades to ask questions, right? You guys turned up and your questions have been brilliant, really, really brilliant. So huge round of applause for you guys.
Can we get a round of applause for Derek as well?
And cheer, whoop, holler, whatever you want to do to these guys.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, so before you go, you guys turned up, right? You said yes. You showed up, right? That's the first step. That's the first step to doing anything. It's the first step to political activism. It's the first step to PR. It's the first step to, you know, being Dines, right? Turn up, say yes, do it. And you did that, so it's brilliant, right? I'm just going to preview the next Rave Late. So we've got ETC. You might not have heard of ETC, right? But ETC are one of the UK's best, most innovative, amazing post-production companies. And we've got the whole team that produced this by Pharrell.